and we're going through that as we're living, kind of thing. And that's like, kind of like the path to enlightenment and stuff. So once you get to that edge of things, you kind of um, it's part. I don't know. It's kind of like part of it or whatever and stuff like that. There's a lot. There's like because I like do kung fu and all that kind of stuff. So you've got all your qigong and all that kind of stuff, like your chakras and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Your meridians, your gates, or whatever you want to call
You're
it.
live now, Liv. Just want to say.
Oh, cool. So with all that, you've got like um, it teaches how your energy flows and all that kind of thing. We've got like an entire medical system behind it and stuff like. So like your biological clock, you know what I mean, and your body's doing like loads of like this example of like how chi works throughout the day and stuff like Shaolin monks who get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then they train from 5 till 7 or something like
Mm.
that, or is it 4 till 6 or something like that kind of thing. Like, and then for them 2 hours whilst they're training is the hours whilst your chi's kind of circulating through different organs and stuff. And them 2 hours are your lungs. So
Mm.
you can take in air, oxygen much better and stuff like that. And they believe that like cheese in the air and all that kind of stuff, and that's how you get a lot of your life force energy and stuff.
Mm. Mm.
So then
Oh, the chi is in the air,
it's in everything,
and you're like you're literally
everything,
breathing in like chi energy, kind of.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
interesting,
they're
yeah.
doing it all the time, but they employ like abdominal breathing and all
Hey,
that stuff.
Scotty.
So then like through that your intuition can get stronger, and the more you develop your spiritual ability, I suppose, or what I mean, your connection to it and stuff, um, the more self-empowered you are, and that's
Mm.
one of the things that the government doesn't want you to be. You know what I mean? The
Yes,
more
yes.
self-empowered people become, the more intuitive, the more we can see through people's lies. You know what I mean? And the
Mm.
more you're going to stand up for yourself rather than being apathetic and just let the government do whatever they want to you. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all that kind of thing. Like, so like spirituality is really important in that kind of sense.
I,
Um,
yeah, it's funny. I've always seemed to have that kind of in me. I don't know if it's because I don't know if I told you my bloodline goes back to the Cape Malays, which is basically Malaysian, and they were taken from parts of Malaysia way back, and they were taken to the Cape of South Africa, where they obviously formed a community and stuff like this. And I've always kind of had a strong kind of spirit. I don't even other people have said that to me. It's just always sort of stood up for other people, and I don't like bullies and things like this, and and I don't like. I've always had a serious problem with authority figures telling me what to do this, to do that, and I normally do the opposite. If someone tells me something, if someone says to me in a nice way, "Oh, Dave, could you help me with this?" Yeah, of course, man, of course. But it's the tone and the way people kind of try and talk down to you. I have a serious problem with that. I can't because I don't do
it's
that to people.
manipulation, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
actually just helping somebody; it's being used, man. You know what I mean, or controlled.
Hey, senses. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, it's a funny thing, spirituality, and have you ever looked into like what's it called when you astral projection and stuff? Did you talk about it before, Lev?
Yeah.
Did we talk about astral projection before? I'm sure we did, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. I did a lot of light work when I was younger. Love and light type stuff. Like it was before internet were out. Well, internet I suppose it were. I didn't have it at the time and stuff like.
That
But
2000 or something, around 1999,
no, like
2000.
96.
Oh, wow, you're going back some
Well,
there.
yeah, 96. Yeah, yeah. So that's when I started to explore it with my mate and stuff like. But I'd had experiences before, and like my grandma died about a year before, and they were like, You could smell her perfume, you know what I mean, and stuff like. And other members of the family could smell it after she'd passed on, you know what I mean. It was
Mm.
like next couple of weeks and stuff like. Um, and like a presence there with it and stuff like. I don't know, they were very significant, and a lot of people like at spiritual churches speak about the same kind of experiences and stuff like.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a smell. They can have like different kind of experiences, but um, like I don't know, quite often like lights flicker when somebody passes away and stuff like. But so
What do
yeah,
you think, Liv? What do you think happens when you actually pass? And what's your opinion on that? I mean, do you think we go on to something different?
you like
Think we
you let
like the
go of
energy
basically.
transforms? Or
Yeah, yeah, your body's only a vessel. You move on from it, kind of thing. Like you like let go of the weight of it and the weight of everything in this reality,
mm,
because like you've got all this karmic energy and stuff like, you know, like what your life's about. You know what I mean? Like when you meet people and you get involved with things and you, you find a partner, you break up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of karmic kind of cycles that kind of happen in that kind of sense and stuff. But
yeah,
there's a lot of things going off at the same time because we're going through all this. What is it, the ascension, or you know what I mean? Everyone waking up and all this kind of thing,
mm,
and then you've got all the like the deeper things on the spiritual side of stuff, like you say about astral project. I've got my tongue tied up. Astral projection, and that.
mm.
Um, like you can learn how to do it. You can learn how to do a lot of these
Yeah, I used to
spiritual
do it.
things.
I used to do it like just in like my dreams. I don't know if it was astral projection, but I would have dreams where I'm literally the town I'm in. I'm flying just over the top of the town and just viewing everything. It's really crazy flying dreams and things like this, and it feels like I'm out of my body looking down. And but I don't.
Yeah,
I think the weed
there's good potential
kind of
for it to
stops
be
it.
astral projection, but you can have like dreams like that as well, can't you? Because you can dream anything in a sense and stuff like. And if you think about flying all the time, then you're likely to dream about flying. But it's probably a good way actually to to kick it off in a sense and stuff like thinking about flying and you know just having that kind of thought concepts and stuff and
Yeah, but this
getting
felt
lost in
so.
those dreams.
This
But
felt so realistic. Oh,
like
just.
if you develop it and do it more and stuff like,
Mm,
you're likely to do it more than just in dream state and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I've got that
Because
same meditation video.
astral projection is
Um,
actually when you're conscious, right? They do it.
well,
Well, they get into that relaxed mode, and then
that's when you get better at it. So it's like your dreams; they could have been astral projection. In fact, they potentially were astral projection, especially if you're like a teenager and stuff at the time, because like
yeah, yeah, I was really, really young, and it was unbelievable. I woke up and I just felt like wow. I actually felt like I was flying. You know, I could see. I was flying over my town. I was seeing all the landmarks, even to the place where we used to all hang out. And I'm looking down from quite a big height, looking down and observing. It's yeah, it's a pretty strange feeling when you wake up from that. Remote viewing, yeah, yeah. Jim says like remote viewing. Is that the same sort of thing? It is the same thing, right?
it's the same universe in a sense, because like in a sense of like you know that movie Event Horizon. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's a crazy movie, man. That is. That is a.
so the same concept of like folding space, we're in that same energy. So like something far away,
Mm.
it well, it's not really far away because you know like the micro and macro. It's like you, the micro is like you and everything internally and your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. But the macro is everything external. And if you
Right.
see it as like the yin and the yang, you can't have
Mm.
one without the other.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
you're just as much part of a macro as you are a micro.
Mm.
So the outside world is you in a sense and stuff like that. We say it's like a reflection of yourself and stuff like that, but we're all here. So you know, what I mean, we're sharing this reality and stuff. But with that kind of concept, the distance is irrelevant. You know, what I mean, so
Yeah.
when you practice to do that remote viewing and stuff, um, it's kind of like astral projection in the sense of like you're not actually traveling, you're bringing it to you. You know, I mean, it's kind of different in that kind of sense. I suppose
Mm,
maybe
mm.
you could remote view in the other way, kind of thing.
Is there like a dark energy there though? I mean, you know, talking about that event Horizon, it went into a place, didn't it, and brought something dark back with it.
Not
Yeah,
from remote view.
it sort of
It's
took
like
over the ship, didn't it? The ship become like alive.
see, that's like the evil hell demon type things and stuff in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's quite interesting because they say that Event Horizon is like kind of linked to Hellraiser. It's the same kind of
uh,
like sort of concept, and you know, by the way they self mutilate, and in the it's the kind of similar. And hold on. Good morning, Sphere. Good morning, Calm Down. Good morning, Honor. Good morning, Into. Um, yeah. So yeah, I heard that on some. It was on YouTube. Some guy was talking about it. Kind of sparked my interest. But yeah, I find it all very interesting. Although I don't really talk about it a lot. So I do like to try and sort of stick with flat Earth, but it's not, as I say, it's not really topic driven this channel. So yeah, we can talk about many subjects.
I think it's I don't know. It's one of the things that they try to block. It's like really flat Earth's kind of like a gate opener to realizing that you really can't trust your government, and there's a lot more
Yeah.
to discover in there. You know, I mean, it's like so many conspiracies before flat Earth. I was like, why are they doing that? You know, I mean, it doesn't
Mm.
make sense. You know, I mean, and then once flat Earth were here, it's like, oh,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
why. You know, everything just kind of falls into
Yeah.
place.
The penny drops. Right. It's the same thing with me, Lev. I was lucky really because I looked into all the other conspiracies before flat Earth. I'd already like looked at. Well, I mean, I've been into like the unexplained and stuff since I was like a kid. Really, always fascinated me. And so I always, free energy, UFOs, Lochnet, all these are conspiracies, so-called conspiracies. I kind of looked into them before got into flat Earth, which I think is the kind of the best way to do it. You know, if you're looking at flat Earth first, it becomes like a fad, and you're always looking for the next thing. When I say people know this is the pinnacle. Well, for me personally, it's the pinnacle, and everything kind of falls into place after that. Once you understand it and understand the psyop and what they've done to kind of, take away the creator, and yeah, and when people do it the other way around, they seem to have problems sticking with flat Earth because they think there's other things more important out there.
Well, I worry about the AI. I think that's like a really big worry kind of thing. Like,
The AI, we should be worried, yeah.
yeah, I don't like that at all. Like when I did
And
the
is that a thing though? Artificial intelligence. I mean,
it's
consciousness is that's part of intelligence, right?
I think it's a false label in a way. I
Right.
don't know. I'm not sure. It's gonna like it's like an entity which is wanting to come here and express itself in its own way. You know what I mean? But it's not a good entity, and
Mm.
it's gonna like it's under like a disguise at the moment in a sense and stuff like. And then eventually, it'll I don't know. It's gonna be like our demise in a sense and stuff. But well, hopefully not kind of thing. But I don't know, like I say about all that astral projection stuff, and it sounds like kind of crazy and all that kind of thing. But when you see like things in that kind of sense, I mean, not like when you're asleep though, like when you do it kind of in like you're awake and all that kind of stuff. It's much more of a because you can't deny it. Then you know it's not a dream. You know, I mean,
Mm.
you know the difference between a daydream and like a psychic experience.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever had an eye migraine?
A what?
An eye migraine.
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I've had migraines before when I don't get any pain or it's just all visual.
So you like get a visual distortion and all that kind of thing.
Yes, really bad
Yeah,
sometimes. I mean,
it's
this
like
looks like there's a crack in reality. I mean, in what I'm observing, there's a crack in it, and there's light coming through it. That's what it looks like. And it's like on the edges
Yeah.
of it. On the edges of it, it's like pearlescent, and it's a very strange thing when it happens. Because I've got to literally turn all the lights off. I've become really light sensitive. I can't look at any kind of normal light, switched on, and I've got to turn all the lights off. And then it gradually goes, and it's a very, very strange thing.
Yeah, I get them as well. I've had them since like.
Is it the same as that? What I just explained, Liv?
I think so. It's like what I see. It's like a stream of like golden light, but it looks kind of reflective. So you get like colors of red and blue and green and all this kind of stuff like. And it's like all these overlapping lines, and it's like they kind of create triangle shapes as they overlap each other. Do you know, like bandages?
Mm.
How they kind of overlap in that kind of sense, and each one kind of overlaps the other one, so it like they're constantly overlapping each other. And like when a propeller is going really fast and then it looks like it's going backwards,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
not going backwards.
yeah,
It's like an optical illusion,
yeah.
and you get that effect, and you can't tell which way it's going, but it has this general flow, and it's either coming from this dot in center revision to round back of me, and it arcs around. So it's either going through top, side, or through bottom, but generally to right hand side and goes round that way. It can go to left as well, but
Mm, mm.
more often to the right, I suppose. And I think it's like going to different chakras. And sometimes the propeller effect, it goes the other way. It can change direction. So it's like it's giving me a download, and it maybe even taking something away. You know what I mean? And replacing, or it's doing something.
Mm.
But it always follows like it's got the Fibonacci spiral all over it. You know what I mean? Like sacred geometry and all that kind of stuff. I've got some pictures of it. I'll.
Hey there, Shlo. Have no
Got some
severe.
pictures that you can
Welcome,
blackmail
Scotty. Good to see you guys. Yes.
Because this is something I consider to be a spiritual experience. It's like the third eye experiences that have been, they're just like this kind of thing. So if you've had an eye migraine, and doctors like they haven't really got an explanation for what it is. So my own personal opinion, I think it's a download, and generally there might be a change, or something is some sort of chapter change, like what I mean, like somebody at work might disappear or appear. I don't know, some maybe or maybe not.
I mean, a download, would that suggest some sort of
Spiritual download,
a spirit? Oh, right. I was more thinking more, this being some sort of digital constructs kind of thing, VR.
No, I think it's a holographic reality.
Mm.
But it's just as real as any of the other planes, kind of thing.
Yeah, the plane. I mean, that really interests me. The planes, because I think it can kind of be proven that there is planes, and just even like density layers of planes, right? Not necessarily like spirit. One's a spiritual plane, but in this construct that we're in now, where we seem to be observing some form of not curvature, but kind of the way the vision works. And if you kind of reverse engineer your perspective, it comes back to a place of parallels. Comes back to everything seems to be running parallel within like this creation, and that really, really interests me, because that's kind of what I visually kind of see, even like from the ground, with ground level, water level. The clouds seem to be running parallel. What's above that? Don't know. Is space a part of one of these density layers, or is it all? What's below us? Is there levels below us? And it kind of opens up a whole new kind of way of thinking and thought of what this place could be. How about your opinion on that?
Yeah, there's more to it. It's like I say, I don't know, when you open the doors to like spirituality, it's kind of like you have to be patient and do the artwork or whatever and stuff like in terms of like developing your spirituality. But
Oh,
once you
I've got you.
do it though,
Have you just this one at the top here, blood. Lev, the very first one you put in, right, with the road, and it's got like that crack in it. That's what I see. That is it.
I see it's like that. It curls round.
Yeah, that is what I see. Exactly. You know, it's exactly that. I can't believe you put that in there. That's unbelievable. It's exactly that. That's it. I said it's like a crack, didn't I? In reality, and like all these light and the colours are coming. The light is like blinding me.
Picture.
Wow, I can't believe you put that in there. That is identical to what I see. And there's no pain with it. It's just like a visual.
No. Yeah.
And it just fades out over time, right? It just slowly fades out. That's what happens to me. But yeah. I'll see what you're saying there. Yeah.
So when you see something as clear as that, you know that that's not a dream.
Oh no, I'm showing that. For God's sake, I've got to learn how to play. No, I'm not showing it. That was lucky. God. I want to start doing all that again. People weren't too happy with me last time. Yeah, so yeah, that's on. Yeah, no one's. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. There's definitely more to this experience than what they say there is, isn't there?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Like one of the best big ways of like achieving it is doing like that train meditation. I've mentioned it like it's I don't know. It's on my channel and stuff like that kind of thing. Like I should probably do it again because it's gonna like it's old now and it's gonna rusty. But but anyway, I don't know. It's like the general guidelines. It's just like basically, it's a visualization exercise, and then like once you know, or a focus exercise, you're learning how to focus your mind. You know what I mean? So what we're wanting to do is exercise the pineal gland. And so it's like if it's been like calcified and all that kind of stuff. How do you do like press ups for the pineal gland and stuff?
Yeah.
So in terms of it's based on visual aspect of things. So you need to be able to develop that visual aspect of things, in your mind without your eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with your eyes shut and stuff. It's like a still picture is not enough. You know what I mean? Because we visualize still pictures all the time. You know what I mean? And we visualize moving pictures in his mind as well. You know what I mean? If you daydream or you think about something. But
is it kind of like meditation? Like when you know the Buddhist monks, they say kind of you got to get the mind chatter out of your mind and focus. And is that
that's part of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
In a sense, and stuff like.
Hey, Decone, welcome, dude.
This one more about like it is a focus exercise, so you are getting rid of a chatter in your mind or whatever and stuff, but you just you turn all that off and then you get into the the visualization exercise of this and stuff.
That takes practice though, right, Lev, to do that, because it's quite a tough thing to actually do, isn't it? To get all that mind chatter silenced before you kind of progress. I found it very difficult to actually stop that mind chatter. Something always seems to pop in, just to kind of.
You like, I don't know. Do you play music? Do you do any kind of form of art, or like drawing and painting and stuff like that?
I used to. I haven't done lately, but I used to. I'm quite a creative person when it comes to art and music and stuff like that.
It's like understanding your own mindset to like get rid of that kind of because it's like if something's bothering you and stuff like that and it keeps entering your mind and it's like whilst you're trying to do something that's you need to kind of this is spiritual development, your ability to like get over those kind of things. It's like one of the earlier hurdles, and I suppose in a sense and stuff it's probably an hurdle which reoccurs, you know what I mean, like new problems occurred and stuff like that. But
oh, that's Brendan, I
It's
think it
only
was his
part of
name.
it because it's like really it's a visualization thing because we're trying to use what the third eye is supposed to be functioning for. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, the mind's a problem because we don't want that to get in way and stuff like. But if you if you you get past that and you get onto visualization, so that's the focus. You
Oh,
know, what I
brilliant.
mean, you've
Yeah.
got to well, this one's like a train meditation, so we we're imagining that we're flying behind the back of a train that's going through like an underground tunnel or whatever and stuff. So what we need to do is like we visualize the train at the back kind of thing, like so like that's more or less a still image because you're matching its speed and stuff.
Mm.
But then you see to visualize it to make it look real as well because like a quick glance, you know what I mean? Like you're not gonna see details or I don't know. So it's like trying to study it, make it look real in your mind and that. And then you like look at the ground and you look at this as like as part of your peripheral vision, but you look down at it to kind of create a looping feed of what you're gonna see. See, like the tracks is just two lines and it's like light hitting it, and you ever move a little bit, but you know what I mean? It's gonna like you can loop that image in your mind, the same as like the strobing of the light hitting tracks and the abstractness of light and dark and rocks and all that kind of thing.
Mm.
You
Oh.
can make it because it's moving fast anyway. So
Mm.
you know what I mean? It's gonna you know create that loop of that part of the peripheral vision. And you do the same for walls, for ceiling, and you go back round and you come back to the train. You have to re-visualize the train, and I suggest to like go back down to the ground and walls and re-visualize everything else. Try to get it cemented in, and then you're ready to begin like the focus exercise,
Yeah.
and you can like follow the train. You know what I mean? And you kind of just enjoy basically daydreaming your way through it. Being focused though, because you're not daydreaming as such. The
It's an
problem
interesting
is
technique. Yeah.
it's the automatic mind set. Do you know, like when you go into automatic pilot and you start thinking about other things whilst you're doing stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to bring yourself back into the meditation because you realize you've lost your focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you keep doing that, eventually you've released enough serotonin that when you do go on automatic pilot, suddenly you won't daydream of like something else, something different. You'll suddenly open your third eye.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what you're seeing will distract you from any other daydream or distracting thoughts because what
Mm.
you're seeing is awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like once you get past that stage, which it doesn't take long, it's like about 15 minutes. It might take less than 15 minutes, but 15 minutes is a good kind of range. Maybe even 20
Mm.
minutes just to,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if
I mean,
15 minutes is a good time,
you
really.
mentioned serotonin there, Bev.
Yeah,
Um.
DMT and all those kind of things. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
don't mean to be specific
Uh,
on which one.
yeah. No. No. I'm just thinking because I did take a lot of mind bending stuff when I was a lot younger. Wonder if that's kind of affected
No,
that serotonin
I
release or I don't
it
know.
has
I
had
don't know.
brain damage as well. You know what I mean? So with that both included, you know what I mean, enjoying like ease or whatever and stuff, and then years later with brain damage and stuff like. But no, it's not related. But
Mm.
um, our water poisoned. So do you know what I mean? Whatever toxic thing that was, still affecting my life now, 15 years later, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, yeah, for
But
sure. I mean, I took a lot of my stuff in the early '90s and late '80s, acid
but
sort of,
I can
and then
still achieve it though.
you
Like
can
you can still
still,
achieve it on
yeah,
fluoride.
yeah,
Fluoride don't prevent you from doing it, which
yeah.
I think why they want to release all these vaccines and
I mean,
laws and
so
whatever
what's
else and
your
stuff.
kind of take, Lev, on the paranormal, um, ghosts and the other side to that? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
It exists. It
I,
depends on what your
yeah,
outlook on it is. It's like it exists. It,
I think it exists. I
I
think
think a
there's
lot more
definitely
to it.
something.
Like
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely
on
something there.
astral planes, you've got like angels, dragons, giants, and all sorts of things. And then for us to like rediscover them here, you know what I mean, is like, I don't know, it's kind of like a bonus kind of thing, like, because you don't really expect us to be here because like how we were brought up and, everything's normal and all that kind of stuff, and nothing happens here.
Mm.
but then suddenly, it turns out the Earth's flat and the government's lying,
Yeah, yeah. What else have they been lying about? Because it opens up that whole thing, doesn't it? You know, if they're lying about
well, I was
this,
already
they must be lying
discussing
about absolutely everything. I mean, even at the moment with this Russia thing, it's just a game they play, right? It's just psyop on top of psyop to cover up the last psyop. They bring in another one, refocusing minds and yeah, no, sorry to get off the topic. Yeah, yeah. So you think that there's definitely some sort of realm there, yeah, or some sort of
Yeah, you can go there. Like I say, like train meditation's like the easiest way to do it. The other exercises I talk about and stuff, they take like maybe months to achieve it and stuff like. But it's also Reiki, hands healing and all that kind of thing.
yeah. I've seen
That
people do
is
that.
very potent. If
Is
you
it
get
really?
an attunement, if you get an attunement, they'll blast a hole in your crown chakra, which will allow the Reiki to flow through,
Mm.
and you'll know about it for sure. It's like, you can feel it go through, and then you have like, oh, your Kundalini awakening. So I don't know. It's
Where
kind of
did you
like
learn all this, Lev? Have you just picked it up over time, or have you just
this was back in '90s. I did it for about 3 years. I kind
okay?
of practiced it, and then I decided to, I don't know, live my life a little bit, and then because I knew that we're all this precognitive stuff about coming back to it and all that kind of thing, like so. Um,
Hmm.
so I knew we were going to come back to it and stuff. There's more to it. There's a lot. Um, like I don't know, like
Do you believe? Do you
like
believe?
all these other things and stuff entities, and what I mean, it's like there's supposed to be spiritual war or all these kind of things and stuff. And this is kind of part of it now that we're in as well.
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know,
We've been in a spiritual war for decades and decades, right?
oh, I don't know whether it's like limited to like Bible teachings and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I think like the Bible could be very controlling and
For
really be a
sure.
form of
Yeah,
an early form of government
yeah,
in
for
order to
sure.
control the people and stuff, and may even like drive you away from spirituality. And it's like a lot of things that we
I
used to
see
do,
it
like the
as
old religions that
yeah.
get cursed out as evil and all that kind of stuff. When
Mm.
really, they were the old ways.
Yeah, I see it as two completely different things: religion, the Bible, and spirituality. It's to me, it's not even shouldn't be linked because it's like what you say. You know, some aspects of the Bible, although it teaches you some good stuff, it's also quite controlling of the mind, isn't it?
Mhm. It teaches you a lot of things to not do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Like
Lev, I
certain
say this to
forms of
people. I say this to people. You should. That's in you already. You should already know that how to treat your fellow man. You know, compassion and these things. That's already in the human. I mean, do you really need this book telling you? You know, this is what you should be doing, and because to me, it's a fundamental thing in humanity. It's already in us. We don't need this book. You know, and religion and churches and men in black robes. It's
it's also, like the it came out like the King James version came out during all the fairy culture. So you get all these fairy stories and all that kind of thing, and were a big rise of fiction writers that wanted to contribute to fairy stories, even though they weren't real. And the previous fairy stories were based on history and like supposed to be true stories and stuff. So all these new ones were a bit of competition behind it, but also like the idea of making the Bible the ultimate fairy book because it's got everything in there,
yeah,
dragons, angels, demons, and all these kind of things. It's a great fantasy story in that kind of sense, but um, it's kind of, leather bound and gold edged and all that kind of stuff. It's
mm.
decorated as the greatest story ever told and all that kind of thing. Yeah, and it don't mean it is. You know what I mean? Maybe it is based on it, but maybe there's a lot of truth or lies mixed in together and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think it does disempower you essentially.
yeah, yeah.
This thing is in the Bible. Maybe it's like misinterpretation. You know what I mean? I'm not like a Bible expert or all that kind of thing, like, but you don't need it to achieve enlightenment.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? There's
That's
many
right.
different paths towards it. It's like Buddhist paths and
Mm.
you know what I mean, like that kind of way of achieving enlightenment, like even through kung fu. You know, the
Yeah.
purpose of kung fu were to achieve enlightenment. Apparently, you know what I mean. It
Mm.
depends on who you ask at the time and stuff like that.
Well, you got
You
the
know,
Buddhist
but
monks that are
so,
the experts, aren't they? In the, you know, their fighting styles, and the Buddhist monks, they're pretty unbeatable once they get to that level. You know,
the Shaolin monastery
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah, for
foremost
sure.
monastery towards heaven as well.
Yeah.
Which makes it kind of like, you know, well, I suppose maybe that's just in Asia kind of thing, but it's it's not forgetting who we are, you know what I mean, in terms of humans and stuff, and that's part of why Shaolin existed and stuff, but to retain the old knowledge and all that kind of thing. So like, you know, a lot of it is ancient and stuff like, and maybe is from the world before
Mm.
all this propaganda and all that kind of thing. So again, with all your chi and all your medical information that comes from that, like that with the breathing in the morning and doing all your training in the morning, so you can get the best usage of the air and stuff like that because your lungs are using it
Mm. Mm.
better.
I
That's
love
what
I
that's
love
what it
cold
is.
fresh air in the morning. It's just not too, you know, really freezing, but just to go outside and then, you know, take a big deep breath of just fresh morning air is, it's lovely. I love it. Love doing that. Definitely.
There's an hour day where your heart is being regulated. So it's like you've got one for your bowels and you've got one for your kidneys, and you know, I mean, it cycles through or whatever and stuff like that. But for the hour for the heart was also like known for like the death punch and stuff. So like the, you know, the ultimate death punch, you know, you can kill somebody with just one punch. And
Yeah.
so people had punched somebody in the heart during the hour. So then during the hour, because your heart's doing its full, you know what I mean? There's all so much chi in there that it's doing its, what's it called? It's like its clean out system or whatever. You punch it then, and that's when it's supposed to, you know, do the death punch thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I
which,
mean,
you
you've
know,
got some
is
pretty
like,
crazy ones though. The 5 finger technique.
well, that's what he's based on.
I don't know if you've
The
seen it.
five finger
What was it?
technique.
What movie was it on?
This is that Kill
It might have
Bill.
been on IP Man or something like that. Ip Man.
No,
What?
it wasn't it, man. It, man, what
He does like some mad fight, like all this like movement around the chest, man, and the guy's just frozen. He's just like he can't do nothing.
Kill Bill, I think it is.
Is that Kill Bill? Is that Kill Bill?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Tony.
But
Good
that's
morning.
false though. That's not real.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and they do use pressure points and all that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, into it does make me laugh though when I see that. It's just yeah, it cracks me up. I wonder if you could actually do that to someone, hitting them with pressure points and they just freeze, and then you got to do like the reverse move to unfreeze them. It's hilarious.
There's a Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah, the Vulcan.
That's in Wing Chun. It's in the same place as where they do it on Star Trek and that lot. And you can actually pin somebody there and get a pressure point to actually knock them out.
Oh, wow.
Which is, because you think that's only in movies, but it's actually a real kind of thing.
Hey, good morning, Simon. How you doing? I think someone's just come in.
Hey, Abs.
Hey, Brendan. How you doing, dude?
He's muted.
Hey, Brendan, you're muted. Unmute.
Shalom.
Ah,
Good morning.
shalom.
Hey, David. Good to see you.
Good morning, dude. How you doing?
Very well. Very well. Nice listening to what Lev's got to say.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, I'm glad you come in, Brendan, because you're kind of into this stuff as well, right?
Yeah. Especially the more spiritual side, because you said earlier about paranormal and is it true and is it real. I can only speak obviously from my subjective experiences, and I've shared quite a lot of them on my old channel. For me personally, I can't get away from it. It's there. It's all around me. But the problem is the programming has taken people so far away from the natural realm.
Hey, John.
Their minds will never see or experience. You know, people just. I tell you what, YouTube has been the worst thing for the paranormal. They've made a complete joke of it.
Yeah.
It's money. It's all about money.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything comes back to making lots of money. Blood, good to see you.
Yeah, well, I'm still really impressed by that orb that you captured that time, Brendan. It literally had wings and stuff, and it still baffles me, that bit of footage. It still baffles me. It's still like, what is that? No, you see it coming down, and you see it like sort of change direction, and it's, you know, it's not even orb shapes. It's not like your usual like orb. It's this thing that literally had, like, to me, it literally had wings. Of course, Simon wants to pop in. Let me just. I know why he can't just come straight in.
Here he is.
There you go. Hey, Simon. Yeah, I find that. I think that's one of the. Personally, I think that's the best orb footage I've ever seen, Brendan. Is your piece of footage that literally blew me away when I first see that.
It blew. I'll tell you what. When I remember it well, because I weren't. I think at the time it was a Rory McFizz I was doing at the time. A video.
Rory McFizz.
Good old Rory McFizz. And so I wasn't looking to capture anything. I was literally just talking, and the same as just talking nonsense as I do most of the time. But when I replayed it, when I look back on it to upload it, my jaw dropped. It literally did drop. I was like, I ran upstairs. Sarah, you've got to see this, and it just blew. And that really fueled me to, you know, there's so much going on around us, and I've had a lot of stuff. You know, it weren't like things weren't going on in the house paranormal wise. It was pretty bad, and I've even got the one where I've got my cord from my hoodie hanging down, and it gets lifted up 3 times.
Oh, no way!
Moving. I'm abs. So
have you got that footage, Brendan? Would you repost that? Because I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah. I broke it down as well, because I did it normal time, then I did it times 2 or whatever, but I slowed it right down, and you can clearly see it's being lifted.
Wow. I mean, did you get a lot of paranormal activity in your house, Brendan? Is it always going on, or? Yeah,
pretty much. We get quiet times.
Is it because you're focusing on that?
Absolutely spot on, mate.
Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head. It's all about that. That's what's come to the front of everything. If I decide, when I stop filming all my orb stuff and that, things quieten down.
Wow, that is, yeah.
And once you start focus, then I started thinking about it, and then I thought I'd see if I could capture anything, and that's when I did the one where the all come out of my hat, or my head, if you like. So it's a question of our energy. There's, for me anyway, there's a link between our energy and the energy that's around us. And I think we're like lights, and the brighter we shine, the more
you attract. Yeah, I got you.
Brendan, do you reckon maybe it's a case of that they can pick up when you're aware of them, and if you're not aware or not taking any interest in that thing, that they can pick up on that, and then they don't bother with you? They only bother with people who they can feel are aware of them.
Makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
It's very possible, because I had another capture where me and Rachel was in the room, and I'm not religious. Now David knows I'm not religious, but my curiosity, I said, if there's a guardian angel, can you show yourself? And then these 3, no, it's 4. and they like four orbs join together or flying as one, and it just come down in between me and Rachel. Rachel saw it with her eyes. I didn't actually physically see it, but Rachel did, and the reaction on the camera is absolutely priceless. But again, I really try and stay away from religion, but
Yeah.
maybe these entities or energies show form from where our perspective is. So if people are religious, when they have encounters, it's of a religious nature, or if someone's of a different Hindu or whatever, they have an experience and they connect. So it's about yourself, really, isn't it? And where you're coming from as a person.
Yeah. Makes sense. As that.
Like religion, like Christianity came from Rome, and like all the churches over here, we have got like Celtic crosses on them, but now they're Christian churches. So something happened, but it's like there's a transition. So some of it must have been at least acceptable in a spiritual terms of what the spiritual level of people were back then. You know what I mean? For it to make the transition. And eventually people have become subdued and then non-spiritual. You know what I mean? It's like even today, like, young people don't even want to interest into Christianity because there's nothing there for them in a sense.
I think it also connects to, I don't know if you saw some of my other streams in the past about the churches and the symbology of the churches. About not to go straight into it again, the psilocybin mushroom.
No, go for it. Go for it.
And that's what they turned inside out. They turned in the churches into something that they were not used for whatsoever. All this going, praying and being quiet. I think churches were more like discotheques.
Yeah. Organs and all that kind of stuff like.
Yeah, organs. Well, they're called organs because they literally shake your organs.
Yeah, the vibration and stuff.
The vibrations of them, yeah. And I think they understood all this frequency and vibrations, and that we have today things like ultrasound that can fix things inside your body without having to operate, just doing it with sound waves.
So I had an ultrasound a few months ago, and I did kind of throw like vaccine questions, and she were already vaccinated and stuff. So maybe I don't know, can you turn them up and make them more stronger? Because I were in a lot of pain for the next few days, like, and I regretted having it done. I thought they were safe and all that kind of stuff, like, it's like shining a torch inside you or something like that that don't affect you or something, because we use it on babies. But apparently, I've done some research since and stuff that babies react to it. They can feel it, you know what I mean?
Imagine,
like,
yeah.
So yeah, I don't like them. I just put in a warning out there to people thinking about getting them done and stuff like. But I don't know.
Sorry,
what
was that getting what done?
The ultrasound. I think it's dangerous.
On what part of the body are you thinking?
I had it around my abdomen, stomach, kidneys, all these kind of things.
Isn't it ultrasound? Is it a very high frequency, Lev?
Yeah, it's just high frequency, and it shatters hard things. It's like when you get gallstones. I think it's gallstones.
Yeah, that's right.
They used to have an operation for it, but now they can just vibrate them stones, and they break up into little pieces, and you piss them out. It's a bit painful, I've heard. They're still in little clumps, but you don't have to have an operation.
Ooh.
It would just like to scan to like look inside kind of thing. So like the following days, like not only my kidneys and my stomach, but also my back, like where she went over and stuff like that. My back will kill him. Like...
I was just about to suggest that, Lev. What happens if they slightly miss or they hit something else, an organ or something?
Is it because it's brand new? In a sense, if we look into history, they're playing with something that they're not fully aware of how to use it. Ultimately use it properly, and they're using it for something it might work, but just like the tablets, it's making some damage somewhere else at the same time.
See, the nurse said that she was taking the vaccine to protect the family, so I suggested to her that what if she takes a vaccine and that kills her and she can't look after her family anymore? You know what I mean? It's kind of a contradiction. So from that, she might have thought, little bastard, and just turned it up, you know, like it's a volume 10.
It's
And
probably
like, you know,
like,
flagged me
I
first,
didn't
you
think
know.
of that.
You know, I've got sort of thought,
I'll get you.
because why am I in so much pain after like an ultrasound? I thought it would have been no. But yeah.
Well, if we're frequency and light and the energy in this is uncaught frequency, well, that would be sort of interacting with that frequency and energy, right? You know, to push through the actual body and affect something inside your body. That's it doesn't. When you actually think about it, it doesn't sound too.
Yes and no. Again, it's a case of they're playing with something that they haven't completely got full control over yet. But we know it does affect sound and frequency just by music. We hear a certain song, and when you go to these raves, it's not just entering your ears; it's entering your whole body.
Yeah.
I remember the low ohms that you'd hear in these raves and these techno parties, and they literally vibrate your whole body, and you'd be looking at each other like holding your chest, like, "Do you feel that? Do you feel that?"
Yeah, yeah. I used to stand right in front of the speaker. They're massive, like they used to pile them up, didn't they? In the old raves, like a big like unit of speakers on top of each other. I used to stand right in front of them. And yeah, you definitely feel the effects of that. You really do the next day.
For sure. So I was thinking resonancy is something that for hundreds of years people have known about, but it's how to utilize it properly. Has probably been in the past, and now we've forgot it. And they're trying to bring it back again, but of course they're trying to bring it back to make money.
Yeah. Well, they've weaponized it. They've weaponized that as well, Simon, haven't they?
Yeah.
Sure. There's a weapon, you know, like a frequency weapon. Literally makes your skin boil.
Yeah.
What it feels like.
Yeah, they've been showing them recently in the riots that's been going on, or the protests. These heat energy weapons. That's it seems to be the outside. They said it's like you open an oven door and you get that woof of heat that makes you stand back.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite mad.
Yeah, that is. It's concerning. I mean, and they're like using this to disperse crowds and stuff, and
peaceful crowds.
Yeah. What's your take on what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment, Simon?
Take two. It's
It's
the next. I mean, the timing of it is perfect. They were just literally hanging there, waiting for the green light.
Yeah.
And I think it's just. I'm not saying it's fake, but the reason for it is fake.
Yeah.
Because we tend to think when we see bombs going off and people dying, then it can't be fake. Oh yes.
I mean, I see it was a cam. It was a live cam, and it said, it was like the city of, is it Kyiv or something? And it was just facing down, and it said, the caption said, Russian troops entering the capital of Ukraine, and there was nothing happening. There was just cars going past, people walking down the street, and I was just like, where's this invasion? Where is it? I don't know if it's actually happening.
But I started realizing that we're looking through the eyes that we've been seeing of the Second World War. All the pictures, all the movies, all the documentaries of the Second World War, we're kind of looking for that. And we've got to remember that the technology that we have and the means of war that we do has completely changed since then. So it's I mean, now they can put rockets down your chimney stack. They're that good at aiming with it.
Yeah.
So it's more like a stealth war, if anything, that we're probably seeing. And that's why it doesn't look like a war that we're used to seeing. But let's see,
I'm just going to make a drink, guys. I'll be back in a minute.
Hello, Brendan. How you doing, buddy? Hello, Lev. And hello, Blood. How you doing, lads?
Hey, man. All good. That Ukraine thing was, well, I don't know when it started, but it was in news in 2013 when I was like comparing different news channels and stuff before I had the internet. Some fuss about America wanting to be able to own that area and then they can build bases there, which were too close to Russia and all that kind of thing. But this is the stage narrative. You know what I mean? It's not like the background narrative, because we know that those two countries are still in league with each other. You know what I mean? Still sharing the same propaganda like moon landing videos, which Russia should not to be supporting, really. You know what I mean?
It's all bollocks. That's the truth of it.
it was the red flag over the entire, you know, country versus country being false.
You look who the president is, or the prime minister of Ukraine. He's an actor. Yeah, he's a bloody actor. It's mental.
Oh, Schwarzenegger and
Well, yeah.
Who else
You
have we
know,
got in
people
there?
forget that the Ukraine, before they had the actor put in, the government was overthrown, and they was basically supported by America. Gave them all the arms and everything to do a coup. It was a coup d'etat. It was taken over, and most, you know, people forget that the Ukraine was supplied free electric, free gas and oil. That what have the West given them? Nothing. It's for the West purpose. It isn't for anything else. And they also, when the Berlin Wall fell, they made an agreement in NATO that they wouldn't encroach on Russia's borders. Yet you now look within.
That's all they've done since.
Exactly. So, from the Russian standpoint, and again, we all know this is just all acting, but from the Russian standpoint, they're trying to get back or support the people from the Ukraine who were in favor, basically, of Russia, which was a majority, not a minority.
They're more or less doing what any other country, England, America, would do if they were in the same position, if they were experiencing the same thing.
But then we all know it's all smoke and mirrors, and behind the scenes, Putin is part. He went to the School of Economics, didn't he? The what is it called? I can't remember what it's called.
KGB, was he not?
Probably no, but there's it's a big collection of people that is it a university or something? He went to this place where a lot of the dictators and a lot of the narratives come from. It's they're all pushing the same agenda, whether it looks like it or not on the front. Behind the scenes, they're all on the same wavelength.
For sure. You seen what's it called? UK Column. I don't know if you watch that. I watch it now and then. They seem all right. They're nice guys, but anything that's knocking towards the mainstream, you can't really trust anything they're saying. But I was watching it yesterday, and they was talking about how in Ukraine that they have these neo-Nazi groups that kind of came in with this new president that they have, the actor. And the English and American have been sending arms and supporting these groups since. And it's them that supposedly Russia is moving in to get out, because these two areas, Damascus and the other place, the majority that live there, they want to be Russian, and they are actually Russian. And they've been since, the stories don't get told in the West, but since Ukraine took them, they've been bullying them since, and they've had these neo-Nazi groups that's been bombing them and restricting them and just making their lives a fucking misery. And it's the European countries that's been supporting these groups. So that's that Russia's coming in, and he's been saying recently, hand over these groups or we'll come and get them ourselves. Hand over your president or we're going to come and get them ourselves. So in the Russians' eyes, they're coming in to clean Ukraine of the neo-Nazis. But that's what I'm picking up. That's all, you know, from what I'm hearing.
Well,
it's not going to be World War III, is it? How come we've got Russians on British border and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Well, they said they was attacking Kiev and all the rest of it, and there was live footage going out of nothing really going on.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's what I've seen as well. I've been looking at the webcams that they have on the buildings outside in Kiev. They have it in more cities. You can just write webcam in France or webcam in Kiev. And I sent a link to Dave. I don't know if you noticed it. And, I was kind of sitting watching that, waiting for the tanks to roll in. But 3 days later and still nothing, you know.
the propaganda to take effect. And once everybody believes it, then people will take their roles and take part.
I think
You know
it
what I mean?
goes,
Like COVID, in a sense.
yeah, I think it goes back to the Orwellian nonsense is 1984, where you got the wars going on that weren't really going on, but they just create this fear amongst the population that it's all right, we're protecting you, this war, you know, you stick with us. And so it's, again, it's just such a nonsense, but people will, you know, people are obviously, they showed it with the jabs and all of that nonsense, how quick people accept what they're thrown through their TV box.
And they jump through them holes gladly.
Yeah.
If you don't jump with them, they're going to turn around and say, hey, why are you not jumping through this hole? It's like, you know, they come and say, all right, everybody's to jump out your window. So they just go and find the closest window. And if anybody's not, say, hey, come on, we've to jump out the window, you bastard. Come on.
Hold on. Bring in Calm Down. How you doing, Calm Down? Welcome, dude.
Hi, Jim.
But I'd say the phenomenon was of where they've got the states of humanity's minds, especially in the European countries, the big first world countries, has been shown ever since the invention of these mobile telephones. For me, that it was really, okay, now you can see the zombies. You can't tell a person's mindset and thoughts until you meet them and greet them and get to know them. But now you don't need that. You just see a person in the car on their own with a mask. And you're like, okay, I know where your brain is.
Well, for me, they had to put down all that infrastructure, all the, you know, all these new devices, 5G. It had to all be done before all this. We had to pull out of Europe. Biden had to bring the troops out, right? It all kind of makes sense, right? This sort of leading up to this. So yeah, it's the timeline to me is quite obvious what they're doing.
Well, they're piling it on so thick. The curtains barely come down before the curtain's coming back up on the next scene.
That's right.
On the next, you know, on the next theoretical, whoever's coming, you know.
It's
Calm down. Are you from Liverpool?
No, I'm from Long Beach, California.
Oh, Long Beach, Cali. Nice.
Liverpool's quite good though.
Thought maybe it was Liverpool. Calm down, hey, hey.
It's so famous for Liverpool.
Yeah, he's probably no idea what we're on about, poor guy. Sorry about that. Calm down.
Is that's something going on in Liverpool?
It's how they talk in Liverpool. Yeah, they have a way of saying things, and one of them's always "calm down, hey, calm down, calm down."
That's exactly how they sound. Calm down. Are you a flat earther or into?
I mean, if you want to call me that, I don't like that term.
Yeah, I don't really like that term, but you know, it's.
I prefer theoretical model researcher.
Good.
Or just a realist, right? It's just a realist.
Or why label yourselves anyway? You're just people, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like whenever someone looks into UFOs, they're a UFO researcher, or Bigfoot, they're a Bigfoot researcher. But flat Earth, they're just a flat earther, right? They have an identity and shit. You know,
it's putting people into that box, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Boxing
It's
people.
where you stand on that kind of sense, though, because it's like, are you a flat earther in terms of like, do you know the truth that the government's hiding things to this level? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
Because
I
we
think,
don't,
yeah.
You know, we're kind of like below conspiracy.
I think the best answer. I'm a free thinker, and then they can start asking into the things that you think free about. I'm not a fake moonlander. I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a
Mandela. You can also be a free thinker, and then might still not be a flat earther.
Exactly.
I hate the label. I hate all this labeling. It's just puts everyone in little boxes, and then when shit hits the fan with people like Pedo Bob and all that crew, well, it just rubs off. Everyone starts connecting it to flat Earth and all the rest of it. So personally, I'm just me. I don't, you know, and I'm interested in the world I live in.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's because we're not scared anymore. The labels come from people being afraid of the thing that they don't know what it is. So if you don't know what it is, as soon as you get a label, it's the moon. No worries now. Cool, it's the moon. We know what we've given it a name. It's the moon. We don't have to panic anymore because we know it's the moon. but we still don't know what it is. But if we give
Labeling
it a
us flat earthers was part of the plan, right? Because now they're like, oh, what are you, a flat earther? You deny science? You know what I mean? It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, of course it is. It's association, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, but it's good, like being a flat earther. You know what I mean? In terms of like, you can like, you know, like the first few years of it, they're like the celebration of it kind of thing. And it's like everybody will like rejoicing and like coming together in a sense and stuff like. And it didn't matter where you came from and stuff like that. It's like so much. But then somebody discolored its name, and I don't know. I suppose maybe to the externally, if they look in and see that there's a party going on, it
can
looks
be
cool.
useful.
You know what I mean? It looks better in that kind of sense because, like, I don't know. I like to celebrate the idea that I'm a flat earther. You know what I mean? So people see that it's a good thing.
Yeah, they've kind of
Because it
hijacked
is.
the term, haven't they? They hijacked the term.
Yeah, yeah.
But it can be useful if you're in company of somebody you really don't care for and they're just coming across as complete pricks, and just turn around and say, "Oh, did you know I'm a flat earther?"
Yeah,
Watch
I
them-
do
watch them
that
go.
sometimes, and I'll say I'm an anti-vaxxer right off the bat.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
just you know they won't be ringing you. Get rid of him. He's a dick. I'm a flat earther. What do you think of that?
it really it shuts people the hell up because it's silence for a minute, and
Yeah.
then and it's like, you know,
You let
usually
them
you
go
talk
through
to
the
someone
brain
and
part.
they don't have any info. They have nothing, but they're
No,
supposed
yeah.
to be the smart ones, right?
Right,
Got those wide
hey,
eyes.
hey, calm down. Can I ask you a question? Then, what first got you into this? You know, what made the penny drop for you?
I was I saw a UFO, right? I saw an orb, and I reported it to MUFON and this other place, in Washington, and they thought I was joking around. They said I was hoaxing them and all this shit, and I have video, you know, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that was kind of part of it, and then it like fucking at the same time I'm looking at the stars, like I was looking through my iPhone, like, what the fuck? That's a star? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had never really looked at the stars before, even though it was iPhone, whatever. It, you know, it's just like, it's just lights flashing, just changing like patterns and shit. You know what I mean?
To be honest, with that stars, a lot of people who, even with big cameras, they zoom into the stars and we don't know how far away they are. But what happens, you get these like blurred out, round, circular, fractile looking lights. And it's what we're seeing is not that. If you do the same thing on a road at nighttime, and if let's say there's a lamp, a light, a road light farther down, a few hundred meters away, if you do the same thing with that, you get the same effect.
Yeah.
Exactly the same effect. It blurs out, and it's to do with the focus and the lens and what the camera can do or what the camera can't do. So it's actually these ones, and I've seen many of them where they're showing up in the sky and they zoom into the star. When they start off, it's just a teeny little dot because it's in focus. And when they zoom in, it seems to get really big and turn into that orb that's flashing and waving in many different ways.
Well, you can get the same effect if you fill up a bowl of water and reflect light onto the bowl of water onto a wall, and you get the reflection of the surface of the water, and it looks like a star.
Yeah.
Bouncing around, flickering.
Well, I had a thought of what the Mayans in South America used to do on top of their triangles, their pyramids. They'd often have little beds of water up there, not so thick. And they used to think, well, did they bathe in these? What did they do? And what they actually did is stargaze into them. Instead of always looking up and getting a sore neck, they'd stand around this pool that's flat, of course, no ripples in it, and they'd stare at the stars in the water. So that gave me the thought of this, with the atmosphere giving off this effect that makes the stars all blown up and big and round and look like a fractal. If you did the same thing and you zoomed into the picture of a star reflected in the water, then you might actually get more of a better look at what the star is than trying to look through our atmosphere.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, because the Mayans used to look at the stars through the reflection of water and not from looking up. So they say. But it gave me that idea that maybe you'll get a better picture of the star by zooming into the reflection on the water. So then you don't have to go through all that atmospheric waviness that you see up in the higher atmospheres. Just a thought.
But also, besides this, at the same time, I was kind of looking at the moon landing, which I had looked at a few times before, like a bunch of different times. But this time, I saw better footage, like the flag waving and like, you ever seen that video, astronauts on trampolines?
No.
No, I haven't
No?
seen that. No, I haven't seen.
It was like, it was a video that Joe Rogan promoted a long time ago, and that's where I found out about it.
And puppet strings.
But anyway, man, it was a bunch of shit at the same time, and then it was like 2015 November. Then I seen Eric Dubé's video and that other dude, the Some Strange Notion video. And
Yeah.
it was like, fuck. Then I was kind of addicted to it for like a week, you know. And then I brought that to my work. Like, I worked at a marijuana place, right? And we trim bud.
Oh, cool, man. I think, calm down. You've got the best job, honestly.
Well, I don't work there anymore, but there was like, we had like 12 trimmers at that time, and all we talked about is music and conspiracies. So
yeah.
I brought up flat Earth, and fuck, everyone looked into it. Some people were into it, and other people weren't. That's how it all started, dude. Like November 2015.
2015 November. Wow.
Cannabis trimmer. That's a dream job. It is.
I know. For me, that's my perfect job. Honestly, I was thinking of actually moving out to Humboldt County one time just to go and get a job out there. Right, I was really thinking about it at one time.
It's you gotta have a girl with you if you go to Humboldt.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't hire single guys; they hire girls and couples.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
A lot's changed in the last 7 years. You know, it's like the corporations are taking over. People there used to be a ton of jobs, and now like they have trim machines now and shit. So
why do you have to have a partner with you? Why can't you be alone? What's the reason?
Because I think single guys are gonna rob them. Yeah. A lot of shit goes down in Humboldt, man. A lot of crazy shit goes down. Like, you got like every gang in America is down there. Every biker gang, every cartel. Like,
that doesn't sound too.
It's just fucking nuts out there.
Yeah. Maybe going to Cali is probably the one. Moving out to Cali then.
Does anybody watch the Future Cannabis Project on YouTube?
No, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that. Oh, I watch that every day. Yeah, they come on. It's these guys that have these factories now, these companies in America, and they all get together on a live stream and talk about how they can produce better, how they can get natural soils, good soil and stuff like that of doing it naturally instead of using all these chemicals that's used to it, which I don't use either. I don't like it.
It's got to be done organically.
Chemicals and how long do you flush them out?
Well, there's even discussion of that I saw one of the companies that they supposedly did some scientific checks to where they flushed some and they didn't flush others. It was Canna, if you know Canna products.
Yeah, Canna.
Yeah.
And they had two women on doing a documentary kind of thing, and they were saying that from their studies, there's no difference in flushing than not flushing. And I thought, yeah, I know why you're doing that ultimately. So you try and convince people to feed them all the way through and not stop 2 weeks before to flush them out, because then you're using more of their product.
Yeah, I stop at week 6, man. Like,
yeah. Just, a couple of weeks before harvest, even when I grow soil, I do give it not a massive flush, but try and get some of it out. But I use all organics anyway. It's just organically grown. I don't actually use actual chemicals. Just like
something called BioBiz.
No,
it's all commercial.
I use advanced nutrients, organic advanced nutrients, which works fine.
Hey, that's what I use. Advanced nutrients, the pH perfect. It's really easy.
Yeah, yeah.
When I work for this dude, like we use a whole bunch of different shit. But for myself, my personal grow, I just use the 3-part mix, and then I have bud hardener, uh, big bud candy,
Bud candy, yeah.
just a couple other things. But I don't go overboard with it, and it comes out fine.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the cost? What would you say the actual cost of buying all them um, nutrients and that adds to the cost of a grow? What your estimate?
Well, like that 3-part mix, you'll go through that a lot, right? Grow, micro, and what is it? Grow, micro,
Bloom.
but bloom. So you'll probably buy that every 3-4 months, and it's what, $60 or something for all three. The other stuff lasts a lot longer, like the bud hardener. I got a bottle for like $30. It's gonna last me a couple years because I don't have a lot of plants.
Have you ever experimented with just doing a grow naturally rather than giving it loads of nutrients? Now I understand they got to have nutrients.
I don't give it loads though, but yeah, I've done just water and it's come out fine.
Right. So it's basically it's just a profit. It's just for commercial people to make money.
Well, the thing, you just get a bigger yield. You know what I mean? Like, but if you just use water, you'll get good bud.
Yeah.
If you've got good soil, if you've got all mixed soil, and it's
Yeah,
not
I use soil. I use Happy Frog soil.
yeah, and you can add and you can add things to the soil like humus, worm castings, things like that.
That's what I want to try sometime.
Because then from the beginning, you just give it water for the first month, more or less.
That's what I do. I don't use any nutrients in the first month at all because it's all in the soil. You know what I mean? All the nutrients, it's already there in the soil.
I like canna, the actual. It's not sort. It's just coconut hair in it that's broken down. I like using that because if you do have a problem with the plant, you can flush it out quickly and replace and correct anything that's going wrong with the grow.
We used to use that canna and we would mix it with ocean forest.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was just like too much work. I don't know. We just stopped doing it for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've tried to break mine down to as simple as it can be. Basically, the A and B mix and the water pH. As long as they're okay, then I find you get a reasonable grow. And again, it depends on how good your genetics are on the plant that you're growing as well. That makes
yeah, it differs. I've just put a link in the chat to a product that I use only.
BioBiz.
If you know what that is, I've been through lots of different products, and
you should definitely try that advanced nutrients, guys. The organic stuff for sure.
On my last one.
That's what I used. Advanced nutrients, the bloom, micro, grow.
And I didn't find it really made much difference. For me,
they all more or less do the same thing, and in the end, it's a weed that we're growing. There's a reason why it's called weed. It doesn't need that much help. I always try to tend to underfeed than overfeed.
I also
it's growing, and I use something called molasses.
Yeah,
that's what molasses is.
Yeah,
the sugars, right? Replacing the sugars.
Yeah,
I use molasses too.
If you use molasses in the grow period once or twice, your leaves become twice as green, a thicker green color, which is a process towards them taking up more light, more efficiently taking the light up.
I just use a cow mag. If I get any,
that's the one.
If I get any like off colours or anything, especially in the younger stages, just give it a bit of cow mag.
Yeah, when it's vegging, cow mag
is
very good.
Yeah, we've got Tamo right in the chat. He uses cocoa, which I've tried in the past, and you do get really good results. You get a lot more bud, but the bud is not as dense. It's not as compact because the cocoa meal is very light and fluffy, so the roots are not in a compact substance, and it is very much as above, so below. If
you guys use silica,
Yeah, if your roots are in a very doesn't mean to be very dense, but soil, then
I
you
have in
get
common.
harder nuggets buds, and if it's in cocoa, then the buds tend to be bigger but a lot fluffier.
What does the silica do? Calm down.
So you put you have your water, right, and you add silica first before everything, and let that and mix it up for like 15-20 minutes before you add anything else. um it just adds weight, dude. It's a 3-part thing. You add the silica and you foliar spray your plants like once or twice a week, and you add CO2.
Oh,
Is that the silicas is the CO2, is it?
It all works together. Like it's called chelation. I don't know if you guys are aware of this.
Yeah.
um it's the foliar spraying is the silica helps it absorb more nutrients.
It does that by cleaning the roots.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
more or
what
less
that's
flushing.
supposed
It's
to do.
flushing around the roots. It's silica is a we use it for like a lubricant. So what it does around the roots, it cleans the areas around the roots, so there's more nutrients can be taken up. It gets rid of the salts because it's the roots are constantly spitting salts out, and you've noticed around your tub that you do it in, at the end of it, you get like white residue around the side of your pots, and that's the salts that's being pushed out.
Yeah, I don't really know the science behind it exactly, but I know that once we started doing that foliar spraying with the silica and the CO2, our yields like doubled.
wow.
It's a game changer, I think. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're not using CO2, you're kind of like missing out. Even if you just do CO2 and you don't use silica or foliar spray, CO2 is a big
Because you can make the like a DIY do it yourself CO2 like releaser, right? I've seen them.
They're bags, or yeah, you can make it's like making pruno in prison, you know.
Yeah,
It really is. Like it's just sugar and yeast.
I'm gonna have to try that. I think I'm gonna have to give.
You can buy small little buckets, and they put them in your tents, you know. And
See, I've never tried stuff. I've never tried stuff like that, Carl, because I've always got good results from way I do it.
Dude, try, if you've never used CO2, I would say use it, dude. It'll.
What in what stage? Right through the grow or the last month or?
I'd say after
You can
grow,
do it
growing
vegging,
bloom.
but like budding up to like they say week 6 or 7, cut it off
Right.
because they say it'll cause foxtailing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but you could just get foxtailing from a lot of different things.
Foxtails normally by heat flash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could be
too hot.
stress, or it could be a light leak.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like that's what people say. I don't know.
It's
It's funny how the conversation always ends up on weed.
It does. It comes back to weed every time, man. I find it really interesting listening to someone like calm down. There's, you know,
very much.
really been into it, kind of like on the big. I mean, we just do it like for personal, right?
So like I did it from like 2008 or 7 or 8 till 2 years ago. That
Wow.
I worked for this guy, and he had 3 different warehouses, and but I also worked up north like three grow seasons in a row.
Wow.
Yeah,
But,
so when it's concentrated like that, you get to learn some stuff just by doing, you know, learning by doing.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
I started out trimming, right? And then they would have me help clean up, because at first he did hydro and there was a lot of trash to clean up at the end of it. And then his grower kept fucking up, so he had this other guy take over, and that guy kept fucking up. So then I took over, and then we, like right when I took over, this dude told me about add CO2, do all this, and I did that, and right away our fucking shit doubled.
See the results straight away. That's really interesting.
We were getting 12, 13 pounds from 20 lights, and then we were getting 20 to 25 pounds off 20 lights.
Holy
Or not
shit.
20, 14 lights.
But how much was the CO2 price wise? I mean, when it comes to the
Ah, it's-
economy of it, is it still paying off? You know,
you know, the CO2 would fill two for the whole budding period, fill up two containers, and it'd be less than $100. It was like $90 for two of them.
Oh, then it's well paid off.
I mean, like 10 extra pounds, and that's when the pounds were 2,500.
But is the bud still dense and thick, or does it get fluffy?
Nah, it doesn't get fluffy.
The fluffy, when I first started growing, I was making a lot of mistakes, and I was using all sorts of lights and homemade lights and stuff like this. And I found that you get those fluffy buds that you can actually see through them. You can see light through them because of the weak light. Yeah. That's what because as soon as I changed the light, the buds were dense, they were thick. I got a high pressure sodium, and it made a massive difference. And you know, just from the light itself, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, here's something interesting. If you take in a dark room when there's no light whatsoever, there's no light leaking in, it's completely black. And if you take candles, as many as you want, let's say you fill this room up with 100 candles, and it's quite bright in there now. If you put a plant in there, will the plants grow by the light of flame?
Yeah, you need a lot, I think.
Will they grow? That is the question. Will they grow by the light of flame?
Hey, welcome, Flat Earther. How you doing?
Well, the thing is, it has been tested.
Welcome, Daniel. Just seeing Daniel's in here as well.
Hello, Dave. You all right, mate?
Exactly. It doesn't give off any blue. Well, the answer is no, that they won't. Lights do not grow from the light of a flame. So the question is that sun a ball of flame?
That's a very good point. And I've thought about this. We don't know what the sun is. We've only been told what the sun is. Because if you've got like I use a full spectrum grow light, and
yes.
No, it's LED lights, full spectrum.
All right, yeah.
Not a problem with the plants. Absolutely good as. So that tells me straight away that a ball of fire somewhere in the 90 million miles?
93 million miles, yeah.
I was close.
Knocking on the door.
But how it just doesn't make sense to me, does it? It no. Just doesn't.
Oh, that's what didn't make sense for me. It must be electric in some source that we know as electric, as energy, and it's not from a flame.
So hey, how you doing, Flat Earther? Are you good? Could you say a bit about yourself? Is your first time on here? Flat Earther, are you receiving me?
You need to unmute yourself, Flat Earther. You're muted on the panel on the side if you look.
Yeah. So, Flat Earther, how did you get into this, and you know what made the penny drop for you?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What got you into the Flat Earth?
Actually, Mark Sargent.
Oh, Mark Sargent. Okay, that was a few years ago, then, right?
It was more or less the beginning, eh?
Eric Dubay.
But what was the proof? Which was the was the actual elements of it that made you agree that that the Earth cannot be a ball? Which part was it? Not to grill you.
Right. Right. Continuous fail to see a real spinning ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Albiano Lima also is another proof.
Yeah.
For sure, the Earth is not moving, and we don't have evidence of a rocket going high enough to show us the mythical blue marble.
Mm-hmm.
And we have proof like the ancient Greek knew that it was stationary Earth with the Antikythera mechanism.
Yeah. Oh, you sound familiar, Flat Earther. Sound familiar. Do you play a flute? That's a serious question. If
So I love teaching the children. I love going to the Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles. I take a lot of scientific instruments to teach children that it is a stationary, flat Earth in the center of the universe.
yeah,
Are you looking for someone who plays a flute, Dave, or something?
If I think Flat Earther's the person I think he is, he can play the flute very good. He should play it on the beach. If I think it's him.
Yeah, you want to live in reality, you have to actually synchronize with the stationary Earth. That's our domain. This is our nature. We never synchronize with a ball lost in a vacuum of space, tumbling towards a black hole.
Hey, is this Renee?
That's what I was thinking. Calm down. Are you? Is that Renee, Flat Earther? I didn't want to say your name. It is. Okay, welcome, Renee. How you doing?
You're so mysterious.
Yeah, I could tell. He sounded familiar. I was like, I've heard that voice before. Who is that?
Yeah, just happy flat today.
No, you've done some great work, Renee.
Putin is a savior. He's fighting the Nazis.
I liked it, Renee, when you called out the documentary crew. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Remember when you called that dude out? We was all watching live over at Poncho's at the time. Yeah, that was cool, man. Cool. The only one there, right, to do it was to call him out was Renee.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here, dude. Yeah, so Renee's been about for years and years, right? Hey, Trouble. How you doing?
But I'd say the ultimate proof, which hit most people first, which hit me first, was just simply the physics of water. And I still stick to the same old water. Nature tells me one thing, and man tells me another thing. And if you look at the history of man, and if he can be trusted, and the history of nature, and if that can be trusted, I trust nature first. I'm going to go with what nature's telling me. And nature tells me that we're not living on an oscillating, spinning ball. But man does. By does he? And he repeats it, and he repeats it, and he throws it. Right now in Denmark, most of you know I live in Denmark, and it's about every 3 times a week on the radio that they have like an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, of space. Some guy comes on and talks about the planets, and now we've seen orbiting Jupiter, this, that, and the other, and we've spotted a black hole inside a black hole, kind of crap, you know. And I just look at the radio and like, the enforcers are out. They've got the enforcers out.
There's so many proofs though, you know. Water's one. I mean, us being stationary and the stuff above us seems to be moving. That's another. There's so many proofs for me, and it's undeniable for me. You know, it's
just actual reality, isn't it, Dave? Like,
yeah, that's right.
I don't know why. Yeah, well, I know why. Obviously, this whole thing got so complicated, and people pushing theories and that. But yeah, if you just keep it to your direct experience, like how the fuck can you ever believe that it's a spinning water ball? It's fucking insane.
It's insane. It's insanity.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I'm out here in Africa, so I speak to like loads of locals and that about it, and like it's so refreshing because they ain't so brainwashed and they've only probably had like smartphones and that. They've all got them now, but they've probably not had them so much, and a lot of them don't really go to school. And you're spending time at the beach, and you just kind of point out to them, look, can you feel yourself moving? You see the flat line. You know the water's always going to be level. I've normally got a bottle of water in my hand so I can sort of demonstrate it to them. And like 99% of them get it. And then the next day I see them, they come over to me and be like, oh my God, it's flat. And it's cool that people can just give it up that easy. But obviously speaking to people back home, it ain't that fucking easy.
Ah.
Yeah.
And the good thing is you don't need very much to start the process off. You just have to trigger their critical
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then
Yeah.
most of them, like ourselves, we all most of us pick some bit of information up off the net somewhere, and it was ourselves that went with it in our head. You know, whilst you're at work or whilst you're in the shower and just thinking of other things. That's how it worked with me for sure.
Yeah, quite. You just got to put your own mind to it, ain't you?
Yeah,
Too many people.
I'm here to put some seeds down, and I promise you, if you water these seeds, they'll turn into the most beautiful flower that you've never seen in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Because this, I think a lot of people think obviously it's going to be so scary, but for me, it's like really giving me a lot of clarity, and I'm just so curious to know. But a lot of people just don't see, obviously can't see that there is a lot an adventure there waiting to happen. They're just waiting for someone to tell them.
Well, it is. It's strange. It's the trigger, isn't it? It can trigger you one way, or it can trigger you the other way. Some people get triggered into anger and the opposite, like Simon Dan and Fight the Fat Flab and all that lot. They've been triggered way back, and they're still triggered.
Simon Dan has got to be like a government agent or something. That's
yeah,
not a real
for sure.
person.
That trigger that you're talking about is actually the rapture. That's how you know who belongs here and who have been possessed to believe the spinning balls, globe diarrhea.
It's funny you say that. I kind of think that too. The rapture is not a physical thing. It's saving your mind. It's going to take you up in your mind and save you from the end days, meaning that you won't be affected mentally by what's going on right now. You're not being taken up into another realm. You're being taken up into another realm of thinking, because heaven and all this stuff in the Bible is mainly about your mind. The two temples is your two, we call them on the side of our head. They're called temples. So I agree with that. Whether it's true, I don't know, but I'd rather think of it in a symbolic way than an actual physical way.
Well, it's actually a physical change happening in your brain. You have different neural connections when you actually reconnect, when you synchronize with the reality of our stationary.
Sure. But is that not all metaphysical though? Like,
when you're fighting in your head, the reality, the logic, you're going through hell, you're going to rapture, because you are actually denying entering and avoiding going to a real paradigm that makes more sense. People don't want to be afraid to be synchronized.
Yeah.
They're so used to being
afraid of taking out the comfort zone.
Yeah, we've mentioned that before, haven't we? Having their bubble burst. They're comfortable within their bubble. Renee, what's your views, Renee, on the Mandela effect?
Well, in the Mandela effect, there is a change of a timeline. We're jumping into a continuous, predestined goal. And no matter what we do, this, whatever it is changing in front of us to keep us.
I haven't had the effects.
It's about misinformation. If you see all this Mandela effect, you only see it. Very few people will see it, but you will experience it personally. Like, for example, knowing a cousin or nephew, the birthday zodiac sign, and you treat that person on that zodiac, and you remember that when they were born, and then years later pass, and you realize that no, she's not a Libra. She's an Aries. She was born on this date. So there are changes in my family that people were born in different dates. That's one that really messed me up. on the Mandela.
I've never experienced it. I'm being absolutely honest. Never. I can't really talk about it. I tend to go to the place of, can you prove it to me without using media sources?
Well, they claim it's mainly about the changing of time. Like you mentioned, timelines have changed. But I mean, if you can bring me a cup of time, then we can start playing with it. Until then, we've got to prove time first.
I mean, part of the conspiracy is, right, that these quantum computers are changing the timelines, and I don't know. I just don't believe in space time or any of that.
No, same. I don't. You have to have space first, and you have to have time to be able to start playing with them, don't you? How can you play with space? Space is nothing. So what's there to play with? What's there to manipulate?
I think you need to understand what that big event on the Mandela effect. Like if you write down the days on a analima, you will realize that the different timelines are happening on a specific periods throughout the analima, because time is just a frequency, how frequent you see a cycle. That's what we need to pay attention to, the frequency of these cycles. How the sun, where is it on the Mandela effect every day? Where is the sun on the zodiac? Because this is not a solar system, this is a zodiac system. And when we start paying attention how time repeats,
Yeah, I mean, Mandela is an effect, right? So there's cause and effect, Rene. So what would you say is the cause of the Mandela effect?
Good question.
Yeah.
Oh, did Rene leave?
But I mean, the conspiracy.
That's
The
it.
cause is the fucking computers, right?
He was never here.
Rene. The cause and effect question, right? The cause, what causes the effect? Yeah. Sorry, calm down. Sorry.
So it's probably those quantum computers.
Well, there's a question there with quantum computers. Has any of us ever seen one of these quantum computers?
Yeah. It's like the microscope that can see the atom. You know what I mean? So it's like,
How big is the microscope? I mean, to see so small, how come the microscope has to be bigger?
Comes
well,
to
the
belief.
electron
Pull you kind of
microscope
thing.
is what they say, you know. So,
It's a belief system. That's all it is. It's all about belief.
yeah, it's like the picture of the black hole, but you can't take a picture without light, and black holes don't have light, supposedly, right?
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
I don't know. They say the event horizon on the black hole sort of draws in light, and it.
You watch too much science fiction.
No, I'm just.
I mean, is space?
I'm just repeating what.
They just chat shit, Dave.
Now we've been going through Stargates as well.
No.
I mean, in itself, is space itself not a hole? I mean, that's what a hole is down here in the ground. You're taking something out, there's nothing there, so that thus we call it a hole. Is space itself, if it exists?
But is there
a
nothing,
hole,
Simon? What is nothing?
Well, to go on, if space is absolutely nothing, how can you have a hole within a hole? Because that's what it will be, a black hole existing in a hole.
That's deep, man.
Is that deep? Well, that's what holes are, isn't it?
But isn't that fractal, though, isn't it? In a sense.
A hole within a hole.
Yeah, it's fractal, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's what they put in your mind, because we image these things in our mind. I mean, even trying to image space, you just get a dark black background.
All right. So listen, you've got a sound wave, right, Simon?
Yeah.
And between the sound wave, you've got nothing, haven't you? So you've got the wave, and between each point of the wave, there's emptiness, isn't there?
Well, it depends what it's going through. I mean, because sound has to travel through something.
Oh,
it has to have a medium.
Let's say when you put up, when you're doing music on your thing and you put it up on your screen, but when the music comes up as a sound wave, there's points of the wave, isn't there?
You mean what we would see on the screen physically representing that we hear?
Exactly, right?
But that's just a representation. That's a cartoon we've
No,
put to say that this is. Sorry, go on.
A wave is literally a wave, isn't it? We understand what wave means, don't we?
Yeah, like we see on the beach.
Yeah. So between each wave, there is nothing. You have.
There has to be the medium that it's traveling through.
Right. So exactly the point. You can't have any physical sound wave with nothing. So
No.
nothing cannot exist. There has to be something for the wave to exist in.
And that's where they go and talk about things like the ether.
Exactly.
Because
yeah.
there's sound waves and then there's radio waves. And they claim that radio waves do not have to travel through something because that's how it goes from the moon and back, sending a message, how they could talk to each other. They couldn't do that with sound. You couldn't shout to the moon if loud enough because supposedly, well, sound doesn't travel through a vacuum.
A vacuum, yeah.
But electromagnetic waves travel through a vacuum, so they claim.
Again, though, you know, yeah, like you say, they claim, but I've not done that experiment, so I can't comment.
Well, that's it. And most of these experiments that we get thrown us, they say that the scientists now say, you know, you don't get a name, you don't even get a picture of them. You just get told that scientists now say, and then they rattle off what they claim is true. And they don't even tell us. I mean, how the hell did they measure?
Some scientists. So not all scientists, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, when they say things like, you know, a nebula found 20,000 light years away, how the flying fuck do you know how far it is away?
I think they found
one hell of a tape measure.
We've got the range wrong. You know what I mean? Like black holes, they find a it's like a bubble in space that distorts light, that's transparent. You know what I mean? So they see something, they just don't got a true explanation of what it is, kind of thing. And they call it a black hole. I imagine it's really big and well, you know, but because of the size difference of distance and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could someone educate me, because I'm a little bit slow, right? So we've got these stars that are somewhere out in space, which are apparently whatever million light years are away. Now, my understanding of measurement is you have to actually go to the object that you're measuring to measure back from, or have something that you can relate to measure it from. Well, how do you measure?
But yeah, but how the close stars are far away anyway.
What I'm trying to say is, how can you measure light that's come from an object if you physically don't know where that object is?
Assuming the sun's 93 million miles away.
Again, it's an assumption, isn't it?
It's a claim, that's it.
Exactly. So my point being is,
destroys everything else, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah.
That's my point. Is that's it, Lev. I can't get my head around how they could even begin to say a certain star is this distance if they've got nothing to relate. We've only got, according to them,
it's based on false information, so that's why they get the numbers wrong.
Once you look into like, that's another thing. When I looked into what a light year was, 5.9 trillion miles. Like, what? The nearest star is 2.4 or 6 supposedly. It's just ridiculous numbers. We can't see that far.
Well, they do the same with the age of the Earth. They go into the hundreds of millions and billions of years old, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's just to bombard the mind with figures that we just don't even bother going there. Divide that by 2. Oh, fucking hell.
And they date the soil by the bones, and they date the bones by the soil.
Yeah, it's just circular reasoning.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't they say as well that the stars aren't actually there and they're already dead, but the light's still traveling?
Yeah.
Some of them that we can see are actually not there anymore. They exploded years ago, but
just
the light
nonsense.
is still coming towards us.
Yeah,
surely
if that was the case, wouldn't it just be a big blur?
Exactly. You just took the words right out my mouth, Callum. That's exactly what I was going to say. If we was watching the night sky, it would just be a big white haze of stars where they're constantly moving. It would just be a big white mass, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Has anyone like in a bit of a related topic? Well. Has anyone noticed like the sky flashing recently? Right at all? Without there being thunder and lightning.
Like at night time.
I've seen it here quite a lot. Yeah, at night time, yeah, just like flashing in the sky. Not every night, but quite often and that. And yeah, I just wonder what the fuck that is all about.
On the horizon,
it's all dark, and then all of a sudden, just blue flash the whole fucking sky.
Well, you can get sheet lightning, and sheet lightning doesn't give a bang. I've seen it here in Denmark, where the whole sky was flashing, lighting up, and there was no booms, there was no thunder, there was only lightning, and I couldn't understand where's all the booms for this lightning. And it's just different ways that the electricity exchange from the ground to the earth happens. There's more ways than one, it seems. But that's one explanation. But if you've got a clear sky,
I think is it sprites? They're quite fascinating, aren't they?
Yeah.
With the sprites, they go up and they seem to be hitting something.
Well, the sprites, no, they come down. They seem to shoot down from something. They claim that it's the firmament shooting photons into claims.
Yeah.
But certainly an interesting thing, an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, I've been out late at night, 3, 4 in the morning in a train yard, right? And fucking, I see these green lights, and then later they're like, I learned that there was like a meteor shower going on. But dude, I thought it was fireworks and shit. It wasn't that high, and they were like these green streaks, man. I don't know what the fuck that shit was, but it wasn't no meteor. It wasn't high enough to be in space, or you know what I mean?
Where were you in the world?
California.
Okay, so it's not the Northern Lights or anything, is it?
No, it was a meteor shower, but like.
Well, then it's whatever they are that's coming through the atmosphere, and then the different layers of gases.
These were low as shit. They were low. There was a warehouse right there, like maybe a 3-story warehouse, and they were barely above the roof, man. It looked like, but I don't know.
Yeah,
just like green streaks.
I like the case that nobody's ever videoed or seen a shooting star or meteor or whatever they are come up from the horizon. If you know what I mean. They always come down from the sky. And if we're living on a ball,
because we're spinning.
Yeah, they can't get past that. But I mean, it should be a case that we see from the horizon shooting stars going up that's shooting past the earth, that's at the curve, the supposed curve to where you're not, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
it's been
absolutely.
mentioned before in other places, and it's a very, very good point. I've never witnessed seeing a shooting star come up from the horizon in front of me. They always come down. Well, that shut them up, didn't it?
No, I was waiting for a follow-up on that. Sorry.
That is all right. Congratulations, Brendan. I'll just slip in with a new song. I thought it was fantastic. Brilliant.
Don't tell everyone. No, I've got to say, what's his name? That funny guy who's in the chat. I can't remember his name now. Tier. He's always. Oh, what's his name? Do you know
Tamo?
What I mean? Tamo. Yeah. Yeah. It's, according to Tamo, he thinks it sounds like people pissing on tin cans or something. But
what's that?
My music.
Hey, he's a cock.
No. But my point being is, if my music's that shit, why the fuck does he keep going and listening to it? Don't do it, Tamo.
Tamo just loves to annoy people. That's the only way he can have it.
Hey, where's your music? You got a link to your shit? Can you put a link in the chat?
Is Tamo trolling?
No. Tamo's all right. We all know what Tamo's like, and I take him with a pinch of salt. But I'm just saying, if you don't like me music, no one's forced to go and listen to it. And if you've listened to it before, my music, and you think, well, that's shit. Well, don't go and listen to it again. You know, it really don't matter to me. It really doesn't. I do it for fun. I do it because I enjoy it, and yeah, it's good. It's
What kind of music?
well, I started off doing karaoke, basically singing cover songs, all sorts. I've done all sorts, country and western, Pink Floyd, you name it. I've been there, and but I took up the guitar about 5 months ago, and I'm basically just sharing my journey with me learning the guitar and trying to sing along with it, and that is it. There's no pretense. There's no I want to be famous or any of that shit. It's just a case of enjoying learning a musical instrument, and that's
exactly.
That's cool.
Can't see Tarmo.
Yeah.
I know he loves me, really.
Tarmo says 8 dudes on the panel and 0 faces. Agents.
Damn, Tarmo.
Agents. We're agents.
Yeah, we're all agents.
Because when you show your face, then he can recognize you for not being an agent.
Yeah.
Tarmo's got all the faces of all the agents ever been produced in the world, and he's got them in front.
Oh, there you go. Calm down. You just see calm down. There's a face for you.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Last 10 minutes, yeah, because I'm going to do the last hour to show some videos and.
Bong.
Yeah, bong.
Bong time. Yeah, but thank you, Simon. Anyway, and we support each other in what we do. That's all that matters. So
Yeah.
I like people that focus on learning an instrument, and you've picked it up really quickly, Brendan.
But think about it, David. You're putting yourself up for total criticism, which I accept, and I accept what Tarmo's saying. And I told him last time, because he also made a comment then, that's fine. You know, it is what it is for you, and that's it. At the end of the day, if you don't like something, you don't go and watch it, do you? It's that simple.
It amazes me, how people can pick up an instrument like that, then you start playing music and tunes, and then you're actually writing your own music. I mean, you've barely picked up the bloody guitar, dude. That's to me, that's amazing, dude. That's really is.
It's because I wanted it so much. To be fair, that's
Yep.
because I want it. I put the effort and time into doing it, I guess.
Starts and finishes right there, B.
So have you learnt your chords and your notes for each chord and all this? And
yeah, I've learnt most of the chords, and Simon will relate to this. Bar chords are the tricky ones, but I'll get there in my own time. And like I say, it's scary putting your own stuff out for criticism, because that's basically what I'm doing. I'm saying, look, I've just started playing the guitar. This is what I've written. What do you think? That's nervous as fuck when I put it out, to be honest.
And having Simon there is a massive help, right, Bren? I mean, he's an excellent musician, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, stop it.
No, you are, Simon. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the thing, isn't it?
Well, what I'm getting from Brendan is seeing exactly how I started. All them years back, I lived in 7 square meters, a little room down in the town here in Aarhus. I had no television or anything, and I had a friend from Ahmed, who's half Palestinian and half Israeli. It's not the best mix, but that's what he is. And and he came in one day and he had a Spanish guitar with him. He said, "Here, Simon, I like how you sing. You must learn guitar." I was like, I can't afford that. He said, no, you don't pay. Another day, just you need to learn guitar. And because I had no TV or anything at that point, I literally plonked the thing right next to me on the chair, and every 5 minutes I took it up, put it down again. I was lucky that, like Brendan, I could sing as well. I know how to hold a song. I was a bit of a karaoke freak back in them days. So as soon as I got 3-4 accords down, and then knowing and realizing things like the Beatles, that's all they lived off, then, well, why not try and put a song together?
I mean, we've got some great musicians that come here. Vertex, Senses,
yeah, amazing.
Brendan, Simon. all very, very creative people, and yeah, I vibe with that myself. I really do.
I think it comes with that kind of person of the is exactly to why we're open to what we discuss these days. You know, the realizations of things not being as we've been told they are.
Hey, Trouble, welcome. We've got about 10 minutes left, Trouble.
Yeah. How's things? I just thought I'd say hello before you all disappear.
Oh, fantastic. How you doing?
Hello, Trouble.
Hey.
Hello, Trouble.
Hello.
Here comes trouble.
Here comes trouble.
Yeah, it's an excellent release of energy. Is singing and playing and an accomplishment. We're all creators. We're all an echo, a fractile of whatever made this place, and that's why even the animals are creators. Birds create little nests. Even cats and dogs go in a little circle and try and create a little sleeping place. Because we're so much more aware and intelligent than the creatures, that we can create in a vastly bigger way, more intricate way than any other animal on this planet. But otherwise, everything here that's biological is a creator, in a sense. And I see that fractaling off into this place must be created then.
Yeah, very well said.
It lays evidence towards it, if anything.
No, I'll go along with that.
Yeah, just a smaller representation of the whole, right?
Yeah.
Like a fractal,
exactly.
Just like a fract, kind of like a fractal.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What the original creator is, we have no idea, but we have no idea what we are either. So why bother trying to work out what the creator is before we've even worked out what we are? Start at home. That's what I say.
Or where we are.
Yeah, the what, where, why. What, where, why until the day I fucking die.
Yeah. They will always, they'll always be the biggest question.
And that's it. They always have been, Dave. They always have been for thousands of years. And that's what's been taken away, I'd say, in the last 100, 115 years, 150 years. The questioning that's been questioned up until that point.
Mm.
And that we've been taken away so fast and so deeply that turning around once again and asking these questions is a scary fucking thing for people. And I find that amazing because I'm open, like you guys, to any kind of questioning. I might not agree with it. I might not go along with it, and I might pick it up. I might drop it, but I am open to anything and everything.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, because once you shut the door on something, the door's shut. So
you put yourself in a room, in a box.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said.
But do you think we've been here before? Like, people
reincarnated.
Point
you
of
mean?
not in terms of reincarnation, but in terms of people like coming to these like realizations that like we don't know anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I reckon you were more advanced.
Definitely,
yeah.
Definitely.
Again,
Or at
everything's
least
cycles,
technologies we
isn't
don't
it?
know.
Yeah. Up and down, in and out, cycles, round and round.
Yeah.
Just as we call a bicycle a bicycle, because it's got two wheels that go around at the same time, and we learn to ride the cycles.
You get the short cycles, you get the long cycles, don't you? They all they all interweave with each other, and
But it's not only like we've lost advanced tech; it's like we've lost basic tech. We've got all those megaliths, and we don't even know how to make a giant block. That's not.
I think it's more like we've obviously lost how to think properly and that more than anything.
I think that's the problem. Is we think too much.
And recipes. I think we lost a lot of recipes.
I think we need to let go of stuff rather than try and grab loads of stuff, because I think I'm speaking for myself, filled myself with a load of garbage in life rather than just looking what I am, seeing who I am and working on myself. Because and again, it's just from me, I think what we do individually puts out and it goes out into the ether. And I think the better we become, then the more positive that we're putting out there.
For sure. I agree with the part that we tend to look at ourselves in a very egoistic way, that we're so advanced, we're so much more aware than any other creature and animal on this earth. Human beings are so vastly apart from any other creature. And we see that, and we look down at the animals, in a sense, they're dumb. They're stupid. They can make a nest. They can, you know, they basically just only react off their emotions, and not emotions, their instincts. And we're so vastly in front of them. But is that just a perception deception that we're actually the opposite way? We're actually, in a sense, we're more stupid. We run around and fill our lives full of all this crap and like you said, thinking of things. Are they worth thinking about? Are they needed to be thinking about when all you need is a roof over your head, food in your belly, and water, and the rest of it's playtime, just as the animals do.
Yeah. I think they look at us and think, fucking retards.
They do. I swear. I've had a couple of dogs. I've had a couple of dogs that look at me like that. What the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, we run around and create chaos for ourselves that doesn't otherwise exist.
It's like they've implied it to us, like in movies, and like space movies were generally like one of the highest, you know, the first ones to venture into space, or you know what I mean, and stuff like. I don't overdo it a lot. I've noticed it. Kind of like it's like medical science is the best that it could ever be, or whatever stuff. Well, almost, you know, there's a lot to be researched and stuff, that kind of thing. But I know the play on it. The play on like. I suppose in one sense it kind of shuts people up, so they don't have to investigate it, or they're so below it that they're, you know, they'll never understand it or whatever and stuff. But
well, yeah, you're told you're stupid, didn't you? From an early age, you're stupid unless you're wearing a white coat, or you're a professor, or a PhD, or whatever. You're just stupid. So how dare you even try and question anything that's above you?
I see there's loads of different levels to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I forgot what we were saying to begin with. what about now? Because it was like this
about animals or something.
Like as like the ancient times and stuff. I think that we used to be like when Star Thoughts were about and they were being used. I think we used to be like really interconnected, and it was like a world empire of people, not country versus country and all this kind of crap. And you know, well, that's narrative anyway, isn't it? But and things were fruitious. It's like when we understood the spiritual laws, and you know, I mean, we had large pineal glands because apparently we used to have them like size of walnuts and stuff. You know what I mean? So back then, that's probably when it were. You know what I mean? Because if we had the ingenuity and all that kind of stuff, then it kind of shows. You know what I mean? It's like pyramids everywhere and all that, and everything kind of mystifies us at this level. You know what I mean? So we are kind of more stupid today. We're kind of blinded by everything because we've been entertained by everything in our lives. You know, TV and video games, all that kind of crap. Especially because there's so much propaganda that's gone into it as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like all those shooting games on Xbox were like related to government training and all that kind of thing. We'd even hire people which were really good at them games and stuff like. But what were you saying about the spiritual stuff, Daniel?
Oh, fucking hell, I can't remember now, mate.
As we're all sitting here with a bong in our hands.
So I was just about to say, Simon, you've been smoking a bong,
sure that's where the Mandela effect comes from, isn't it, really?
Well,
exactly. He lives in a bong.
Oh, shit.
A little one.
Right, guys, sorry to be a pain in the arse. I've got to close it down. Got to do that, yeah. Got to do the last hour, man. Otherwise, I'll be on here till like 3. You know what I mean? Just
you're behind on your globe baking, aren't
you? Yeah. I've got to produce another 33 today, so it's tough. It's tough.
You did an epic one last time. It was nearly 6-7 hours. I saw the last stream that you did.
Yeah, I just left it on, Simon. I had a lot of things to do that day. I mean, I was going to turn it off, but I asked the chat. I said, you know, do you want me to leave it on? And they went, yeah. So I just left it on.
Yeah, well, it's been good chatting with you all. Always.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. No, it's been great, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure.
Very much for
coming. And if you haven't, listen, I'm just doing a plug, Dave. Just a quick plug.
Yeah, go for it.
If you haven't heard the song, I'll put a link in the description. Please go and put a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's entirely up to you. But go and have a listen. You might enjoy it.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's,
I'll definitely check it out.
it's already on there, Brent. I'm going to play it very soon, dude.
Right, I'll go and hide.
No, man.
And by the way, Simon, your song, amazing. I'll put a link into the show that it was on, and I'll put a timestamp so people can go and have a listen to that as well.
Nice. I actually just saw your last message that you did about putting a video towards it, and yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, Simon, if you ever want me to play any of your music, man, just drop it in the chat and I'll play it for sure. 100%. 100%.
I'm the worst at advertising, man. I'm like Brendan, I'm shy.
I know.
No.
Up the backside, I am, Simon. That's why I was gently persuading you in chat that a good video behind your song would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll work something out. I've never worked with video things, only with music.
Now that is something I can say that I'm okay at. Video editing.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
I find it a nightmare. I really do. This program I'm using, I'll put a picture in and a bit of video, and it starts playing the video part before the picture, and I just can't work it out. I'm just like, this is driving me nuts. What is going on here?
With the ball in the other hand.
Doing green screen stuff. That can really mess with your head when you're trying to set up scenes and shit like that.
I've still been waiting to see you in that little green man suit that you bought.
Oh, don't you worry. I will get round to doing other stuff, and I will do another Zippy bungle and
yeah, they're classics, mate.
Seriously, your Zippy voice makes me think that you're the original Zippy guy because I can't hear the difference.
I can't. I'm not allowed to say it's in my contract, Simon.
I'll say hello to Bungle from me then.
Yeah.
Or Bob, whichever it is.
Yeah, Bungle's he's a bit of a twat, but George is all right. A bit gay, but he's all right.
You've got the voices down nailed, mate. They're really good.
Yeah, they're nailed. Really good. Yeah, they're really nailed.
It's bad because when people phone me up, I start talking like Zippy. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm going to shoot off, guys.
All right, people. All right. Appreciate it, Daniel. Thank you, dude. Cheers, Lev.
Pleasure, guys. Cheers. Cheers, Dave.
Cheers, Brent. Cheers, Simon. Thank you, Trouble.
Just hit that button, Dave, and we're gone.
Thanks to Renee and Calm Down as well for popping in.
Calm down.
Much appreciated, guys. Right, I'm exiting. Mic check. Hey, Chill, welcome on it. Big shout out to everyone that's just popped into the Hangout. She's Shouting Loud, written by Music Realm Brendan.
Shouting loud above the crowd, no one's listening to my call. Screaming voices at the gates, it's time to act, not demonstrate. Round and round we go, Same old lies and rock and roll. Take your orders, don't delay. It's time to face another day. You tax my brain, your gravy train, consuming people once again. With poison traitors by your side, we turn our backs but never hide. Round and round we go. Same old lies and rock and roll. Take your orders, don't delay. It's time to face another day. TV programs you cannot hide. It's in your brain, deep inside. Pull the plug and let it drain, and realize it's you again. Round and round we go. Same old lies and rock and roll. Take your orders, don't delay. It's time to face another day.
These satellites are supposed to track aircraft. The information that, well, we're...
All right, so this is the halfway through that and the curve.
We're just shutting them off because it's not worthwhile. Those 3 or 4 jets full of hundreds of passengers just have to use other navigation methods such as dead reckoning, which is basically using a stopwatch and guessing to the next checkpoint, essentially. If you were to tell them that, they would be infuriated. So that could not be the case.
Take care, Schlo.
Coverage
Have a
was
good day,
problem.
dude.
Even over large and non-densely populated areas, you would lose GPS coverage, even in jets at times. So this began to unravel the thread of satellites and satellite timing, and the fact that many reels of footage show these satellites being launched by balloon rather than by rockets. How the concept of these rockets doesn't even work to make it past the atmosphere, much less leave something in perfect geosynchronous orbit. I actually had the privilege of working a short time at a satellite manufacturing company in Northern California. Got to see the assembly and participate in the assembly of satellites, space-based satellites, or so they were said. There would be small bottles encased in these structures that were encased by another structure. The small bottles were the fuel cells. These fuel cells were incredibly small, smaller than a diver's tank in most cases, much smaller. And this was supposed to be all the fuel that the craft needed to run and operate, as most are not actually electric, they're becoming electric now, and sustain itself in a perfect orbit by just small bursts from its engine or its propulsion system.
But truth be told, I've been to many countries, done many things, all things aviation. I can say with absolute certainty, and I can attest, the plane does not dip nose down to follow the curvature of the Earth, ever. Matter of fact, most planes have an airfoil that are 3 degrees nose up in straight and level flight. And the reason that is simple. If the nose of the aircraft was at 0 degrees or level flying through the air, then it would porpoise, right? It would be quite violent because some of the air would go over the nose and some of the air would go under the nose. And it would cause that nose to go up and down, which is literally like a porpoise or a dolphin out of water. And that's exactly what would happen. So it's the wings are designed, when they are level, the nose is 3 degrees nose up. The fact. proven from multiple points that there is no Coriolis to the motion of the Earth. And I'm speaking from a pilot's perspective, also an engineer's perspective, because I obtained a degree as an engineer before I went to flight school. So I'm both a pilot and engineer at once. So, number one, there is no rotation of the Earth, proven by the fact that a helicopter pilot can hover the aircraft indefinitely, motionless, above a single point of the Earth. If the Earth were spinning, as soon as that aircraft left the ground, the Earth would spin out from under it. Now, somebody may say that the air of the atmosphere rotates along with the Earth, which is one of the most absurd concepts imaginable, because if that were the case, then all wind would travel with the Earth. There would be no alternating wind currents when we know that the jet streams fly overhead, clouds move in multiple directions overhead, and a kite flying over the stationary Earth. The fact that a kite flies because of wind passing through, that proves that the Earth does not. That proves that the air does not move in unison with the Earth. Number two, airstrips do not rotate away from a landing aircraft. Anybody who's seen a pilot's view when an aircraft lands, well, the aircraft lands to a motionless airstrip. If the Earth were rotating, the pilot would have to turn to the angle at which the airstrip is rotating away and land at the speed of the airstrip, which is absurd, simply absurd. Airstrips do not rotate away from the aircraft, and on an east to west landing strip, if the aircraft is landing to the west, the airstrips do not land moving towards the airplane. That's insanity. Okay, simply stated.
If the Earth was a spinning ball, it is virtually impossible for a ship to be moving at 25 to 30 knots on this curved spinning ball while tracking an aircraft that's probably going 300 miles per hour, 50 to 100 miles away. Really, I mean, these like P3 aircrafts were pretty far and 20,000 feet in the air. It's just virtually impossible. It doesn't make sense. Again, at the time, I wasn't thinking like this, but looking back on the information that I had, I'm like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way that was done on a curved Earth. Literally, the only way that could work is if we are on a flat, stationary plane. We're cruising along. The boat is cruising along in the water. Like, think about it in terms of like a large, like, you know, like those backyard swimming pools. Picture the swimming pool filled up, right? And then your ship, you put a little boat on the swimming pool, and then, you know, you put like a little fake aircraft in the air. Now, from that ship, you're able to see the aircraft. It doesn't matter where you are in that pool, you can track that aircraft. If you're on a spinning ball curve, how the hell can you track an aircraft that could be in a position that's 100 to 200 miles away from you, 30,000 feet in the air from a different angle that's around a curve? It's impossible. There's no way that you could, there's no radio frequency that could track that.
I'd like to point out that I see now that I didn't see before is that you have a magnetic compass and you have a gyro on any ship. And I'm not talking about your little Crabberman show fishing boat, what are they, Deadliest Cat. I'm talking about a real deep sea going, unlimited tonnage boat. It's going to have a gyro. And it is a big, huge box that sits usually behind the bridge or in the chart room. It's a big box and it's basically the gyro compass. Now, if you had two models, I guess, wouldn't you have to have one making the corrections, because it almost never matches the magnetic almost never matches the gyro. It's very rare that we're steering the same course. And they say it's due to deviation and variation is where you know, like the metals of the ship causes it to differ. And then you have the variation of the magnetic fields over the Earth is, I guess they change, you know, true north and magnetic north. But the way I look at it is, man, they got two different machines. One is a machine and one is from God. The way to get around the Earth. God's not a dummy. He put the way to get around the Earth with the compasses. If back in the day they had motorized vessels that can get them around, they would probably have got around a lot better. But they were at the mercy of the wind. People say, oh, they didn't know their way, or, you know, they were using the stars and stuff, and they, you know. So I just believe that the two compasses, the gyro compass that's electronic, and then our regular compass is because they are switching the ways, you know, the maps. There's two different ways to get around the Earth. They're tricking us.
Here is another flat Earth proof that I never noticed while I was on active duty, thanks to years of indoctrination. Periscope observations. When the submarine is at periscope depth and the observer is looking for ships on the horizon, they will start to see masts at about 8 to 9 miles, depending on atmospheric occlusion and sea state. The hull of the ships won't be visible until about 5 miles, depending on atmospheric occlusion and sea state. At 9 miles away, the target should be 26 feet behind the curve, but this isn't what's observed. My final flat Earth point on submarines is with regard to the AN/WSN TAC-7 ring laser gyro that is used on board of U.S. Navy submarines. A typical gyroscope, like the ones used on board of an aircraft, is a device used for measuring or maintaining orientation and angular velocity. It is either a spinning wheel or disc with a counterweight in which the axis of rotation is free to assume any orientation by itself. When rotating, the orientation of this axis is unaffected by tilting or rotation of the mounting, according to the conservation of angular momentum. However, a ring laser gyro doesn't have any established weight. They use light as a point of reference. It spins up a disc that shoots out lasers, and it has a digital encoder that deciphers where the laser strikes inside of the gimbal system. No make-believe gravity required.
Let's just say we're like 30 miles away. These missiles can shoot much further than that. I can't give you the exact number, but say we're 30 miles away, okay? 30 miles is far. So from our ship, we can track on our little, we have like a missile projectile. It's like a radar, but it's a little bit different. It's specifically designed to track the missiles. You actually input the coordinates, latitude and longitude of where you want the missile to strike. Really, really high precision accuracy. I mean, really accurate. We hit that launch and the missile, and it will hit that target 30 miles away, even longer than that. Now, here's the thing. Again, that's not possible on a curved Earth. These missiles are huge, 50 caliber project that are carrying massive amounts of explosives in them, okay? Each one of these missiles are probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So whenever you're lining up these missiles to shoot at targets that are 30 plus miles away, if the Earth is spinning, again, now think about this. We're not sitting like on land holding a gun, all right? So picture this. We're on a ship, like actually in the middle of the water, okay? And the missile is shooting off of the bow of the ship. So if the world is a spinning ball and we're on this curved Earth with water and we're spinning 600 miles per hour through infinite space, I'm pretty sure that it would be physically like it wouldn't even make any kind of sense on a physics type level to be able to shoot a missile from a spot in the water on a spinning ball to pinpoint accurately hit another spot.
And at night, we were going on one ship, on a military ship, and this is with night vision goggles, 50 miles, and these guys were on the bow. They were not even on the bridge where you'd be 100 foot up. They were on the bow, which is barely probably 40 feet off the water's edge. So these guys, and they have the latest state-of-the-art. This was in 2015. 2015, they had state-of-the-art, what do they call them, night vision goggles. So these things are capable of seeing that far if we live on a plane. You can't deny it. It's so obvious, but not to everyone else. I guess the programming's harder than other people, so they don't want to hear it. But over the years, I have learned the model. I know the model like the back of my hand. I can show proofs. I have ammo now. So when I go out there and I tell somebody, hey, that's impossible, and I'm talking to a third mate or second mate who's an officer who went to college, meaning they paid for their education. Because when you pay for your education and you're making a handsome salary on it, you can't be wrong. How could I be wrong? I'm making a salary, they're paying me, I paid for this career, everything's working great in my life. You are obviously wrong. All the math works.
So with that, you know, it's hard. But when you stump them and you start showing them stuff, it's hard for them to say. And then they start saying stuff like, oh, well, what does it matter anyways? I don't care.
And there is the 8 inches per mile squared. But you guys can't look at it three-dimensionally. It is two-dimensional. It is the amount of deviation that's required for you to come back inward. If you are walking east from north, meaning you are going around north equidistantly, and you walked in a straight line east 1 mile, you're going to have to deviate 8 inches back to the left to get back on the equator, right? Look at it on the flat earth map, and clearly it makes sense. If you walked 1 mile in a straight line east, you have to deviate 8 inches after each mile to stay on the equator. The 8 inches per mile squared is a real measurement, if in fact we consider the equator to be a real place, a real location, ever, always.
In 2015, I came across YouTube suggestions for flat earth videos. My first reaction was to laugh off. After seeing flat earth videos in one of my favorite channels, I decided to watch one. When I came across a flat earth map, which I had never seen before, it immediately sparked me to look at that flight route, Rio, Los Angeles, Sydney. And I could then understand why the Brazilian soccer team went to Los Angeles and then to Australia for the tournament. The earth is flat, no doubt about it. The following weeks and days were followed by more research and disbelief. I had been a NASA fanboy my whole life, paying 2 visits to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Huntsville, Alabama, besides spending so much money in science and science fiction related documentaries, movies, merchandise, etc. But a waste of time.
I also tell mates about they lay down and we use all our charting is done on flat maps, straight lines. They never draw a curved line. Every line is straight. Straight lines, everywhere we go on a flat map. And I try to point it out to them. And what they tell me is, Mr. Marcator has put all that in there for you. It's all equated in there for you. You don't have to worry about it. All the curvature calculations for it and everything's figured right into the map. So the straight lines and everything are actually bending somehow. I don't know. So these are just the proofs that I see. Along with, you can see the corpuscular rays are much betterly observed out at sea because you can, it's nothing, it's like a desert. And so you can see the sun like a flashlight just shining down in a cone everywhere. If there's a little bit of a clouds are right, it looks like a cone. And I point it out all the time to these guys. And I get them thinking, but you know, the programming goes hard on people. And if you're not ready to wake up, well, you're not ready to wake up. You'll just have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You'll be back in the illusion before you know it.
The narrative began to fall apart. I would continue studying and finding that what I fear to be true is reality. That we have been lied to about just about everything. Upon researching military history and then military training and speaking with military gunners in both the Army and the Marine Corps that I know personally, I would ask them about Coriolis effect. And it was always assumed that, yeah, we compensate for the Earth being, you know, a curve, that it would drop. We calculate for the Earth curvature. But even upon asking and having them look into their materials further and my own personal study, again, it found to be an assumed truth with no actual basis in reality. That they would calculate bullet fall based upon angular velocity, drop, friction, amongst other things. And curvature was supposed to be just corrected along with it, just like flying, wind correction angle corrected for Coriolis effect.
I've done many of them personally. I've flown more than 1,070 hours in both helicopters and airplanes, and I will tell you factually that aircraft meet their checkpoints, they take off, they meet their checkpoints, and they land exactly as planned on a flat stationary map. No pilot, I say again, no pilot has ever accommodated for the rotation of the Earth when planning flights and takeoff to checkpoints along the way, and then landing. Pilots can plan so well that they can take off and land hundreds of miles away down to within 30 seconds of their planning, because the Earth simply does not rotate.
A waypoint would be like this. Like, let's say we're out in the middle of the water and we want to hit a target that's like directly to our west, 15 miles away. But that target is able to track our missile coming at them. We don't want that target to know where the missile's coming from, so we can put in waypoint. And a waypoint would be like putting a point out like 20 miles east, and then another point like 15 miles north, and then another point like 10 miles south of that, and then put in our target. You see what I'm saying? So the missile doesn't go directly from the ship to the target. The missile will actually fly to the latitude and longitude of the waypoints that are put in, and then it will curve from there, and it will hit all the waypoints and then attack the target. How is that possible on a spinning Earth? If the Earth is moving at 600 something miles per hour, or whatever they say it is, there's no way that missile could stay. There's no way that missile would be able to keep track. Do you understand what I'm saying? At least that's how I'm looking at it. It may be a little bit harder to visualize if you actually weren't seeing it the way that I would see it, or there, or understanding and putting in the coordinates, or seeing how this actually worked out. But I'm telling you, like, from my perspective, that is one of the things that makes it virtually impossible to accept the globe as this. Well, it's a fake lie. It's a theory. It's garbage, is what it is.
Y'all think it's spinning through outer space, and I think we infiltrate aliens.
Well, actually, the Earth is flat. Here I'll give you facts, all the math, science, and all of that. Whatever you need to believe. Come on, can't you see that a submarine couldn't use a periscope, nor a plane use a gyroscope? A Huey doesn't adjust for the Coriolis, or sniper looking down the scope. This is all hard to take in and hard to cope, but I hope that I've given enough rope to explore the rabbit hole that our Earth is not a ball and it's not spinning through outer space. If someone wants to prove me wrong, please give me a name and we can debate it all day, anytime, man, with real test measurements and evidence. Stop lying to world's nations. We have real science to back our observations. Don't believe in the indoctrination of the people, cause they don't want you to believe that the Earth is level. Don't believe in the indoctrination of the people, cause they don't want you to believe that the Earth is level. Dig deeper, be a rebel, then dig deeper than a shovel. Keep your mind level, it's lighten the curve and lighten the herd. Give the truth what it deserves, tell about what we actually observe. Like a boat going out of sight, if you get your zoom and focus right, it'll come back into light. Just use a laser beam and you will see that water never bends but always finds a flat resting position. 71% water can't make up a ball or a pair, so let me make this clear and get it into your ear. You're in great fear of stepping out of the box. They're keeping food stamps in our socks. They are the slyest of the fox, in a controlled illusion of evolution. That's nothing made everything, and no proof of creation in this pseudoscience indoctrination. No meaningful salvation, but let's believe in gravity with no proof of how it picks and chooses what can rise and what can fall on this crazy thing we call a spinning ball. Don't believe the indoctrination of the people. They don't want you to believe the Earth is level. Don't believe the indoctrination of the people. They don't want you to believe the Earth is level. Let me give you something else to measure. Don't worry, it's my pleasure. If you want to vacuum or pressure, you must have a container, and that's a no-brainer. But since we believe the universe is on a roller coaster ride, even when Polaris is in the same place every night and has been for thousands of years, has the heavens work like gears, telling us time and the years like a big machine. The heliocentric model is just a drink backed by money and based on influence theories, never providing hard evidence except for CGI and camera trickery of my natural senses in our school systems. But flat earth brings meaning to our existence like a period at the end of a sentence. Don't believe in the indoctrination of people. They don't want you to believe that the Earth is level.
When it comes to a deception this big, it's hard to dismiss. And for the people that say, I don't see how this would affect me either way, you don't know. It's like telling me about Argentina when you've never been there. Or it's like telling me about owning a Corvette when you've never driven one. You haven't experienced it. And if you have been through the Flat Earth Awakening, you know how it would affect you. This quite possibly may be the biggest awakening of mankind. Think about it. If you believe in this mass fallacy, you've been robbed of some senses and you don't even realize it. You don't trust your sense of touch or feel. You don't trust your sense of sight. You've been told the Earth wobbles, spins, and orbits, but you don't feel a thing. You've been told that sunsets can't exist on a flat and stationary plane, but you don't understand the vanishing point of the law of perspective? After it's possible to understand and decode a mass deception, it becomes a lot easier to understand other lies. It opens your eyes and raises your discernment. So when it comes to lies like JFK, the moon landing, chemtrails, fluoridation, 9/11, etc., this is one of the most important factors of life I've ever been awakened up to. If it's possible to open your mind to this, your receptors will connect so much faster and stronger than you've ever experienced in your life. Understanding the ground you walk on every day and the luminaries that go over your head every day, which I still don't understand all of its entirety, can change your life forever. Knowing you are specifically, intelligently, and uniquely designed so you know mentally, physically, and spiritually your vibration, energy, and frequency of life. So don't act like this doesn't matter. We've been lied to on a mass caliber. We can prove we live on a flat and stationary plane with observable, repeatable, testable experiments with data, hypothesis, and conclusions without depending on blind faith, indoctrinated, religious, theoretical, nihilistic, opinionated philosophies. That's the difference.
Is it possible that almost everything that we were taught from the time of our innocent adolescent time as children to the completion of our chosen path of studies in college was not only incorrect, but was part of an educational doctrine of spiritual disconnectedness from what truth is and what our reality in the world that we occupy today? What if I told you that this is but a small capsule in a puzzle that was well planned and engineered by a world control system to propagate a catalog of theoretical studies and sciences that in some cases have never been proven to this very day, nor will it ever be proven, ascertained as fact. Humanity appears to have been hoodwinked into a dumb state of who we are, where did we come from, and are we unique in God's creation concerning a geocentric world, or are we in a heliocentric world based on theoretical studies by a Jesuit astronomer named Nicholas Copernicus? He suggested this in 1543. His works were not released until after he died, because he himself didn't believe in the spin ball theory either, that is taught still today at the highest levels of education. On my book, which is the variously planned agenda that has gone on for 474 years, seems to be threatened to become full disclosure of the biggest lie in the history of mankind that is kept by the world's oldest secret society called the Freemasons. The very uniqueness of humankind was spelled out correctly by our Creator that the earth was the center of the universe, and that he created the sun and the moon as well as the stars and the constellations that revolve around the earth, with Polaris being the north magnetic pole fixed star. How could space possibly exist when you and I have never been in our entire lives seen a real photo of what our own world looks like?
Max must constantly deal with the stigma and ridicule of being the crazy flat earther from friends and family, and bombardment of typical questions like, why would they lie? How could so many people keep such a big secret? And what does the shape of the Earth even matter anyway? The elusive curve presents all the main arguments for a flat Earth and solid arguments against a spinning ball Earth in a fun and realistic story format, recommended for all flat earthers and curious-minded people alike. Join Max on his journey as he attempts to convince his friends that the shape of the Earth is not what they know, while he plans for a mission to discover more land on Earth with his ambitious and somewhat crazy plan to acquire a high-altitude pseudo-satellite to prove the shape of the Earth one way or another.
The Globers, definitely scientifically, we're looking at flat earthers have some very, very, very valid points according to those three examples.
Thank you.
You got it, brother. Anything else?
No, that about answers my question. Quite a lot to take in. I've taken some notes. Thank you. Thank you again.
You're welcome, sir. Any questions? I'll be here for a while. Contact me anytime.
All right. God bless.
All the best. God bless.
Yo invito a la gente a que por lo menos sea un poco más abierta de mente hacia estos temas, porque la verdad es que esto está muy fuerte. Se vienen tiempos muy difíciles ahorita y debemos de estar conscientes de que el sistema nos está manipulando de una manera muy, muy grande. Entonces, pues, vamos a ver qué pasa.
So that began my journey down the flat earth. And since that point, I've only found more and more voices, more and more educated people, educators, professionals who are beginning to shed light on this subject in ways that I can only begin to imagine. But I'll never forget the day that I realized my plane wasn't falling around a globe, that I could look out the cockpit window, 185 degrees plus field of vision at 40,000 feet, and not see one iota of drop, but nothing but a flat, beautiful, motionless plane. The assumed calculations that we made that were compensating for Earth rotation were just a part of a calculation based upon wind speed and the angle we had to hold in order to fly against that wind and go in a straight line to our destination. It's one of the most freeing truths I've ever experienced, because in some small way, the idea that these other conspiracy theories and things we've been lied to about are true, but this biggest one is the biggest truth of all. We've been lied to about everything. It means we can start over. We can start again. At this time, at this point in our history, we are uniquely positioned to make that change.
And if I can make one statement to the people out there, it's simply this. That's it. That it's level. You cannot fall off the edge of an in-ground pool. It is level. Where you put your feet in the water in France, it's the same height that you're going to put your feet in New Jersey and Brazil. Do some research. This is not the only thing out there that needs to be researched, unlearned and relearned. The Department of Education, founded by Rockefeller in 1908, did a good job of proving that the mode of ignorance that he calls his education board, you are the proof it's working. The mode of ignorance widens every day. It gets bigger and bigger every day because people keep believing what they spit out. Unlearn. Thinking outside the box. The box is the cap that you got at graduation. So understand that for the first 18 years of your life, you didn't learn the truth about anything. You were simply told, and you got a reward for repeating it. Now it's time to think for yourself. It's time to do research and do your own testing. Be your own white coat.
Knowing the Earth is flat has placed me in sync with our Creator, His creation, our hidden past, and with the future we hope to build. A future where we should not have an organization called United Nations governing the world. When there is no globe, there should be no globalization. This is my message to all of you. Peace.
My message to the people is that if you're watching this documentary and it strikes a chord with you, research it, find out more about it. So my message is research it, get all the ammo you can, because if you try and go out and tell your family member or friends or co-workers and you try and tell them this, hey, that, they're gonna laugh at you. And if you don't have the ammo to defend it or the right content to show or to start a kindle a fire with somebody's interest, if you don't have that, you're gonna get laughed. I made the mistake of when I just knew it right when I seen that video. I said, okay, it makes so much sense. I knew it right away. I went and tried to tell everybody before I knew. I just blurted out little proofs. Airplanes don't dip their nose, the water lies for, and they'd hit me with some of that science stuff, that pseudoscience, and I couldn't defend it, and I would look like a fool. And then when I had the knowledge, it's harder to defend it because they've already don't take me serious. But now I've gained such a knowledge on it and such what you would call ammo that I could defend it in a way that you're going to get one of these reactions. Well, what does it matter if it's round or flat? My life doesn't change, doesn't matter, either way. That's how you know that you're striking a chord. Their ego doesn't have anywhere else to go. So from there you can work on them. But like I said, learn the model, learn to defend the flat earth model before you tell your coworkers, loved ones, or anybody, for that matter that you don't know, because people you think that you know well are going to look at you like you're crazy. And unfortunately, that's due to the programming, and everybody believes one thing, so how dare you believe another? You got to fall in line.
So if you're able to actually open up your mind, look at things objectively, allow yourself to break free from the indoctrination bullshit that you were taught, you'll feel more free. You'll see the world differently. You'll love more deeply and compassionately. You'll appreciate life more. That's how I lived my life. A couple years ago, honestly, I can tell you this. I just hope and pray with all my heart that, as the years go on, this is probably not something I'll see in my lifetime. But, as my children grow older and my children's children, as the generations go on, the truth will start to emerge. And it is starting. I mean, it's incredible, that so many people are starting to really awaken. But, 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now, hopefully we can break free of the chains of indoctrination and really see the world for what it is and actually appreciate it and love the world and love each other. And I think if we all understood that there is a creator, people would be less inclined to be so abusive toward each other and the earth. So that's my big message for the people. Just think for yourself. At the end of the day, just be a good person. Don't be so quick to just believe something and stand by that belief just because it was taught to you at a young age. Question it. Make sure it makes sense.
In closing, I'd just like to say that these are my own personal experiences. I never ask anyone to simply just believe everything I'm saying. In fact, please don't. That's how we've gotten into this whole mess to begin with, by blindly following others who say they've already done the research for you. You allow deceptions to occur. Please do your own research and test all things.
All space agencies are part of the cover-up because they are also Freemasons. It is my consensus that space is fake. And NASA was set up this deception and even admit that images of Earth are composites and computer-generated images. Since 1958, NASA has literally force-fed us to and continue their trickery, sorcery, wizardry, and being only God of oneself, yet cannot get high enough altitude to provide humanity with one single photo of what the very shape of our world is. I believe strongly in the very senses that God gave all of us. And instinctively, our senses are 99% correct. In my book, will help those awakening sheep remove the dark shades from this massive deception. And for those who are unwilling or unable to think past their noses, then those sheep will remain asleep. My book is part of the Great Awakening from pseudoscience that has put man living in a Newtonian world of Einstein physics, ruled by Frankenstein logic. Game is over. Consciousness shift of stupidity because of poisonous indoctrination to separate your soul and reality from truth and knowledge. But hold tight, folks. A real awakening is happening all over the world.
The curve of the Earth, the spinning ball, as well as evolution, dinosaurs, nuclear bombs, and everything else that they teach in the schools that's not founded on Scripture. Number one, it's mathematical, geometric, geospatial, geophysical, and in all other respects, the spinning ball Earth is a scientific absurdity, provable by observation and measurement and repeatable science experiments. The spinning ball Earth does not exist. There is no curve to the Earth. There is no Coriolis. There is no such thing as a spinning ball Earth. And at the end, the Bible, which was a textbook, and I say again, a scientific textbook written long before any of the universities that we have today, the Bible says the Earth is flat and stationary. So therefore, we can dispense with all of our science school learning that doesn't agree with the Holy Scripture. The Holy Scripture tells us that the Earth is flat and stationary. All of our measurements, and indeed our personal senses, tell us that the Earth is not moving. There is no curve to the Earth. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. The Holy Scripture tells us the nature of the Earth. The Earth is flat and stationary.
Pride, ego, and reputation are three characteristics I see in every spinning ball believer. Let your pride down, knowing you've been heavily deceived your entire life. Let your ego be washed away, knowing it's possible you've been manipulated on such a scale as this. And stop caring what people think about you. I'm not saying be as external and abrasive as some of us. Just realize that yes, we are human, and we can be programmed to think certain ways, but also know we can be unplugged and become critical thinkers, observers, and researchers without being told what and how to think. From an education system that runs kindergarten curriculum all the way up to Harvard, that was bought over by the Rockefellers a long time ago. This is our time, not theirs. It's time to stand up and start acting instead of relaxing and being told how and what to think. From mainstream outlets that are owned by the Bilderberg Foundation, the Triangular Commissions, and the Counselor of Foreign Relations. Think for yourself and stop falling victim of popular public opinion that are owned by these anti-God secret societies. In my in particular gifted opinion, the most precious gift God gave us is free will, but it's up to us to choose what's right and what's wrong, what's light and what's dark, what's positive and what's negative, what's yin and yang, what's in motion and stationary, what's flat and what's round, what's good and what's bad. We can't tell you what to do. I can lead you to knowledge, but I can't make you think. It's your choice to take the blue pill and go back to sleep, or to take the red pill and stay awake the rest of your life, knowing you are chosen. Because many are called, but few are chosen. And I promise you, once you go flat, you do not go back. They couldn't stop this movement if they tried, because truth prevails. Rest in peace, the globe.
Every truth have a specific time and moment to manifest itself. Technology being the catalyst for this truth to re-emerge and reveal itself again. And proof that it's not a myth, fantasy, or a misunderstanding of our ancestors and all ancient cosmologies. is a geography of Earth that is flat and also disguised in words like plains, the Great Plains, the lowlands of Europe, the flatlands, the savannas of Africa, the Amazon basin, salt flats, the mud flats, the depressions, the Arctic tundras, the tablelands of Australia, the steppe of Russia, the grasslands of Argentina, the ice sheets of Antarctica, the wetlands of Florida, and the levels of England. Over these vast plains flows rivers and canals like the Nile, Amazon, Mississippi, and countless more, for thousands of miles flowing level in every direction. The oceans and seas that occupy 70% of Earth is flat and level water, but science have no way to prove that it curves or sticks to a spinning ball by a magic force called gravity. The majority of the seabeds of the seas and oceans are abyssal plains. As we say, as above, so below. The longest line of sight of observing Hudson Bay at 1800 miles and my own Himalayan ranges observations on 2 occasions of plus 2000 miles is just impossible on a globe Earth. No physicist can debunk the testimony presented here by the first category witnesses, nor the real geography, nor the longest line of sight, nor the countless researches, investigations, and evidences that prove we live on a flat and stationary plane. The one who needs to prove that it's legit or not is the globe.
Did that say Everest 2,000 miles? No. That's a nice little vid, that. Flat Earth Banjo, USA, Japan, and Brazil too.
Belgian Swiss physicist Auguste Piccard, 1931, first to reach for the stars, was the first to explore the air view stratosphereus, a scientist curious to see what was there. An aluminium black ball gondola, helium balloon, hydrogen with photos and instruments, sailed towards the moon, rose in just half an hour, 52,000 feet, 10 miles of depth air pressure, left for dead, trapped in heat and cold, but disproving gravity. Wonderful, mystical, beautiful sight, flat line separation of black from blue light, a world run by deceivers, false make-believers, hiding in shadows, stealing our light. Mystical, fluorescent light, wonderful, magical, awesome, yes, stealing our light. Wonderful, let there be light, supernatural, eternal, up we go. Higher than rainbows, higher than mountains, above cumulonimbus, higher than air. High level horizon, 360 around us, but right round behind us, any height that you dare. The sun and the moon both revolve above around us, to forever short time pass intelligently there. You'll never beat us, you'll never defeat us, no more you deceive us, see through you like air. Kipper and Picard were the first ever known to reach up there. Divine, luminescent light, mystical, wonderful, celestial light. So what was their eternal testimony? What did they report back to humanity? Said it seemed like a flat disk far as eyes can see, with an upturned edge fading into infinity. A mystical, ethereal, celestial sight, a divine creation, a clockwork of light, designed hid by deceivers and false make-believers, still cowering in shadows, still fearing our light. Here we go. Higher than Everest, higher than airplanes, above zero, cumulus, higher than air. A level horizon, 360 around us, no motion beneath us, no spinning, no fair. Skipper and Picard. Never you'll defeat us, forever beneath us. We see through you like air.
Oh, a big shout out to the people that come in the hangout earlier. Massive respect, guys. Thank you very much. And to hear Rene, right? Rene pops in. Calm down. Pretty cool. Big shout out to the chatters today. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. I'm not sure if Dell's on later or not. Hopefully, if so, I'll be there. Till Tuesday. Take care. Yeah, big shout out to the chatters today.